Good evening. Welcome back to the Horror and Metal channel. This is the Morbid Hour live stream, episode 9, in which myself, Sean Erschen, and HorrorFan88 are going to be discussing our top 5 Wes Craven films. Legendary horror master Wes Craven and all the movies he's directed. Rest in peace, Wes. And then we're going to go through each installment in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. This is basically the Wes Craven special, all about the top 5 favorite movies he directed, and then what I consider his best work. The Freddy Krueger saga. And then we're going to discuss death metal band Cannibal Corpse. So, I guess I'll go ahead and send the fellas the link. And we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, James Moss. How's it going, brother? Good to see you. Just going to send Sean Erschen and HorrorFan88 the link to the StreamYard broadcast. Jackson Knight Productions in the chat. How's it going? His ass. That's an inside joke between me and him, since we did a collaboration on his channel, a live review of the first Gamera movie, the Japanese giant monster. Gamera, the kaiju, the giant turtle who flies around like by spinning like a top and shooting fire out of his arm and leg holes. And I was like, how does he do that? Where's the fire come from? And Jackson Knight, of course, replied, his ass. We both started cracking up. And still makes me laugh to this day. Good times. All right, let's send them the link. Superman made me go bald. Yeah, because I have an issue of Superman. Here, I got a picture of a Superman issue where Lex Luthor, it's revealed what his origin is and why he became enemies with Superman. It's because of an experiment that he did, and it ended up making Lex Luthor go bald. He blames Superman, who was Superboy at the time. And then it's like, I hate you because you made me go bald, and it's kind of lame. I believe it was issue 292. Let me find it. I'll take a picture of it. I sent it to him, and we thought it was funny. Yeah, 292, yeah. Superman made me go bald. And that origin was retold, basically as a reprint in that Secret Origins of the Supervillains, that DC limited edition C39 or 38, I believe. It retold the Joker's origin from Detective Comics 168, the Vata Chemicals origin, and then also told the origin of briefly told the origin of Cheetah and Sinestro and Dr. Sivana, and but most of the Joker and Lex Luthor and a couple others. Speaking of comics, I ordered a Batman 251. It'll be in the mail soon. I'll make a whole video about it because I already did my Batman collection, all 5 videos, but I mentioned that I wanted to get a hold of that individual issue, and I will obtain it soon, and we'll talk about it once I get it in a video. All right, that's enough about comics. Let's start talking about some Wes Craven as soon as the guys get here. Sean Erschen has arrived. How's it going, man? Saxon is awesome, James Moss. Yeah, I love that band. I'm gonna need to order a few of their albums too. The only ones I have are was it Wheels of Steel and Life's a Bitch, and then the one with the demon on the cover, the Gargoyle or whatever. Yeah, Saxon's a great band.
Hello.
Wave of British heavy metal. Yo, how's it going, Sean? Yeah, Wheels of Steel, Strong Arm of the Law, and Unleash the Beast are the ones I have. Life's a Bitch was Raven. I'm sorry.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, but you're breaking up a little bit. Shermalo Scott's in the chat. Sup, Shermalo Scott? Very cool. I've got a lot of manga. All right. I think Sean was having connection issues, so he's probably going to leave and come back. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. Which manga was it, Jackson Knight? I used to have a whole bunch of manga, but I traded them to Spellbinder for some superhero graphic novels. No, I'm not sure who has them now because since he passed away, rest in peace. Yeah, it's been a good weekend so far. I agree. Korn. Yeah, I saw them in concert back in 2004 with Linkin Park. And who else was there? Snoop Dogg was there, which is random. Project Revolution. And I used to love Korn when I was younger. I have all their CDs from their debut all the way till I think See You on the Other Side, and then the one came after that, the Untitled album, even though they already had a self-titled. So they have two albums just called Korn. But yeah, I used to be a huge fan. I'm just not really big on that type of music anymore. But I still respect them and people who like them. Looking forward to the Hellraiser reboot. I agree. Scream is a great movie, most definitely. McDonald's, huh? I had Chinese food for lunch, and it was banging. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. You told me about that. Kamen Rider. Very awesome. You have to let me know how it is.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Good.
HorrorFan88 has arrived. Sean was here for a second, but then he was having connection issues, so I guess he had to go restart his device or something.
I'm very excited for this stream here.
Yeah, me too. Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Did you say you had Chinese food for lunch?
Yeah. Love me some Chinese. Might be my second favorite food next to pizza.
Nice. I had Olive Garden for the first time.
Oh, wow. I haven't had that since like 2013, I think was the last time I ate there.
Wasn't bad. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool place. Nice. Welcome back. Can you hear us, Sean? Someday, Jackson Knight. Someday. Well, yeah, we'll definitely do some kind of live stream on my channel, just the two of us, probably, or maybe Start some kind of other collaboration, possibly. Yeah, good choices. Very cool. The Eagles.
Hello.
There he is.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello, Amber. Necessary distractions in the chat.
What's up?
That's my friend who lives in my same town. We watch horror movies together all the time.
Can you hear
Nice.
me?
And her, she used to date one of my good friends who was he was the lead vocalist of a band I was in back in the day.
Awesome.
But she's an even bigger horror fan than he is.
You guys don't hear me?
Yeah, a little bit, but there's kind of a delay. Indeed. Yeah, I agree, Jackson. I kind of, well, we'll get to it. I'll reveal my full thoughts on all the Nightmare movies here soon. Yeah, Ghostface is cool. We'll talk about him too. I still haven't seen Scream 5, so. The Raft is great. Best segment in Creepshow 2. Pinhead is awesome. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite Wes Craven movies. And then we're going to
You
go.
guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of lagging a little bit. We're going to talk about our favorite Wes Craven movies, and that's going to directly lead into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Okay.
Awesome. Saxon's great. This is a very active chat today. That's what I like to see. That's right. Indeed, she was. Matt Hale's in the chat. How's it going, Matt? Looks like Sean left again. Hopefully.
Yeah, he said he was going to restart real quick, see if that helped.
How's it going, Matt? Yeah, we probably should go see Scream 5, Amber. I would like that very much.
I think I'm actually going to see it again tomorrow. I think I'm going to see it again tomorrow for a second time.
That good, huh? I've heard nothing
things
about it. I've heard it's the best one since the original, so this I got to see. And I was supposed to go see it last week or the week before or whatever, but then things got in the way. But I doubt I'll enjoy it as much as the new Spider-Man and Halloween Kills, but you never know.
Yeah, much like Halloween Kills, though, I also see you'll always see negativity with it. Like, when is this franchise going to end?
Yep. Yeah, those people probably just shouldn't even watch it in the first place.
Yep.
A donation button. Big K's in the chat. How's it going, Big K? You can just pay me in comic books if you want. That's a acceptable form of currency, in my opinion. Just kidding.
So, did you go back and listen to some Cannibal Corpse leading up to this?
a little bit. I tried to listen to a few songs from their latest three, which is the ones I've listened to the least. But I've been very busy like all weekend, so I didn't get as much of a chance as I did. But like when I was just here and there, like I would have it playing while I was doing something, or organizing my comics, or driving to another town with the family. But I didn't get as much of a chance as I wanted to. So I didn't,
Yeah, like
I had my headphones in. I didn't really want my the people I live with to hear some of some of the vulgar lyrics.
Oh yeah. I'm
Choice.
familiar with like 9 of their albums, like I said, but when I was like looking it up, I'm like 15 albums. Holy hell, that's a lot to listen to.
Yeah, I know. I keep forgetting there's that many guys. It's like almost as much as Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and they've been around much longer than Cannibal Corpse.
I think Megadeth might be on par, right? They got like 13 almost.
Yeah, seems like they release a new one each year, it feels like. Scream 6, wow. At least I'll be able to call it, something other than Scream.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new Candyman. Yeah, best Scream since the original. Yeah, I really need to see it. But given that this is a Wes Craven themed video, we'll talk a little bit more about the Scream movies. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up the chat. Indeed, it did.
Yeah, I definitely don't want Scream 5 to be spoiled for you. I definitely want you to be surprised at some of the stuff.
I'm surprised it hasn't been spoiled already. I was ready to see it. I was gonna, I was gonna get my tickets, and then, I was gonna be see it in the early showing. I was, gonna be one of the first people to see it, but then, that just fell through. So it's almost, I was like, well, I'm just gonna wait for it to come on. I heard it was gonna come on streaming on either HBO Max or Amazon Prime or one of those. And so on that date where it's supposedly going to be on there, I looked and it wasn't on there. So I was like, oh, well, shoot. Just went and saw it in the theater. I prefer to see movies in the theater anyway, but,
Yeah. I honestly would have liked to see this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre in theaters, but I have a feeling that it probably wouldn't have done well, considering where the franchise is going.
The trailer looks pretty good, but
yeah, it definitely does. I don't think I'm wholeheartedly convinced on the whole Sally returning, because it just feels like Halloween 2018.
It's very clearly inspired by that movie, heavily. You right down to the title just being the same title as the original.
Yep.
I can't wait till that trend is done with. I agree, Jackson. Jason Goes to Hell, I think it's very underrated. I hated it when I first saw it, but it's really grown on me. I think it's a lot of fun. And has some of the best gore and best kills in the entire series. I still have issues with it, but I don't hate any of those movies, actually. I think I like them all.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones that are like more guilty pleasures. But that series wasn't Shakespeare in the first place, so
that's why I would be
watching that one. It gets better each time. They honored Wes in Scream 5. Awesome. Can't wait to see that. And I wonder if first heard Scream 5 was announced. I was like, man, it's not going to be the same without Wes Craven directing, but apparently this one's really, really good. So,
yeah. You can definitely tell it's different directors, but I think they did a fine enough job, keeping in tone.
Good. My dad went and saw it. He told me that they had a really funny reference to the fact that the movie's just called Scream. So,
yeah,
it's okay, good. As long as they acknowledge that it's an odd title. Haven't seen Jennifer's Body in a long time.
I mean,
oh, it's gonna be on Paramount Plus. Okay, that's probably which one it was. I get all the streaming sites mixed up because there's so many now.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll probably sometime in February. But depending on when, we'll have to see. I might just go and see it in theaters instead of waiting. Yes, I agree, Big K. Rest in peace, Meatloaf, Bob Saget, and Louis Anderson. Oh, and I think the actor from the original My Bloody Valentine passed away recently too.
Yep.
That sucks. I'm going to be re-reviewing that on February 14th.
Nice.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Do you hear me?
I hear you much better now.
Yes, thank you.
Yay.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
You good.
I had to restart.
Well, now we're all here, so we can begin
Yes.
the Morbid Hour live stream. Should we just jump right in with our top 5 Wes Craven
Let's do it.
films? Awesome. You want to start with your number 5 horror fan?
Yeah, sure. So, once again, my number 1 is always been the same, but everything kind of shifts from time to time. So, people may not agree with mine, but that's okay. But first up for me is The People Under the Stairs.
Ooh,
I know this movie has a weird tone to it, and it's kind of bizarre, especially with some of its humor. But I think this was like the 3rd film I saw from him, so I just like some of the characters. Like I think his name is Fool, the kid that's running around kicking their ass. But yeah, I really like this movie. I think the setting is pretty cool. Trapped in this house. The people under the stairs are actually pretty creepy because their eyes are all black because they haven't seen the sun, and
yeah.
I feel like this is the period for Wes Craven where he would put out a few movies that just became really underrated and never really got mentioned a whole lot. So, yeah, People Under the Stairs, I like it, but I can see why people would kind of be like, yeah, definitely.
Interesting choice. I
think it's pretty underrated too. I think it's a very fun movie, and it's funny because it's very disturbing subject matter. Like that's a really that can be a really scary and depressing premise, but the main body of the movie is more like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. It's just like a Three Stooges episode. I think Everett McGill, who I think the only other horror movie I've seen him in is Silver Bullet. He played the Reverend.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was the priest.
Yeah. Right, and then he was hilarious in People Under the Stairs. Like he's like, I got him, I got him, I got him. I love his delivery of every line, and like they could have been really sinister, like creepy villains, but no, it was more like a Three Stooges episode.
I saw that in theaters.
I think it's very fun. You saw it in theaters?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very fun, especially that dog they have, and he's just like, man, what are they feeding you?
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw Ving Rhames in a movie, I think.
Yeah. He was one of his first, like, that was kind of before he became, like, a huge star, I think.
Yeah. Pre-Pulp Fiction, or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a fun flick.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed it a lot. What's your number 5, Sean?
My number 5 would be The Last House on the Left, the original from 1972. Definitely a brutal movie. And that's where I think it works, is the brutality of it is so realistic and gritty and dark and nasty. Like some other aspects of it are a little rough, like the music, and the cops and that part of it, they get real right,
Yeah, it's very sleazy and very sordid for sure. Very disturbing, but yeah, like you said, there's the comic relief does kind of feel out of place, like the cops and the bumbling cops and the lady with her chickens and stuff. So it's like it'll be really disturbing one minute, and the next thing will be something totally goofy.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know if they're trying to balance, like, because it's so grim, and then try something later to make it more even, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it kind of feels out of place. And I think the parents who get revenge could have been like better actors, made it more believable. But David Hess is a great villain. He is really,
yeah, he really is.
He was awesome in House at the Edge of the Park too, which is kind of like an extension of his character Krug from Last House on the Left. It feels like the same character. Technically, it's not, but it feels very, very similar. I highly recommend that one too. It's directed by.
I'm not sure how people feel about the remake, but I kind of feel like the remake did a bit better with the parents getting revenge. That felt more just brutal, and they were truly getting back at them, brutally killing them.
I think so too, and I think Tony Goldwyn and Monica Potter are both way better actors than the parents in the original. And yeah, the revenge was done. I think the revenge was done better in the remake. The torture of the main girl leading up to the revenge was more brutal and horrific in the original, but I think the revenge was much more satisfying in the remake. But David Hess, I think, was better as Krug than the guy in the 2009 version or whenever that came out.
But you have to give Wes Craven credit. Like, I don't think there had been anything before that was quite so brutal and like nasty and realistic, like savage,
Yeah, as far as 70s exploitation horror films go, that one's definitely one of the nastiest. Very sleazy and just very
like, just imagine how shocking it was at that time,
No doubt. Isn't that the one that had the poster keep repeating it's only a movie?
Yeah, it's only a movie.
Yeah.
That was in the commercial too, the trailer. Keep repeating to yourself. Just a movie.
Good stuff.
Love that shirt, by the way, horror fan idiot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was gonna wear my Cannibal Corpse shirt, but I wore it the day that I filmed the promo video for this, so it's in my dirty laundry.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got the Toonie Terror one too. I thought about getting that out, but so I guess my number 5. It's kind of hard. I know what my number 1 is, but as for my 2 through 5, it's kind of hard to like rank them. But I guess I'm gonna go with the Serpent and the Rainbow.
Nice.
And I think this might technically be a better movie than my number 2 and 3 choices. But I haven't seen this one as much as those. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's technically a zombie movie, but a very different type of zombie movie. It deals with Haitian voodoo.
The voodoo aspect, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what zombies were originally supposed to be. They originally dealt with voodoo. It wasn't, what wasn't really the way they were today. And yeah, Bill Pullman's the star. I always like him. And he's really good in this. The whole cast is great. Of course, the late Paul Winfield of the Terminator fame. And yeah, some pretty creepy scenes, pretty creepy moments. I just love the atmosphere and the tone. Kind of a slow burn. Does kind of take a while for the action to get started, but I like that. It's very suspenseful and has some scenes that are fairly shocking, especially for the time. And yeah, I think this is definitely one of Craven's best.
That always stands out to me, that scene with a blonde girl, like with the wine glass.
Yeah, dang. Yeah, that was.
I love that.
I always love stuff to do with like witchcraft and like ancient curses and stuff like that. And yeah, pretty cool setting, pretty cool scenery.
Mm-hmm.
The Haitian, the jungle type atmosphere.
That's one you don't hear about too much either,
Yeah, true. Yeah, people don't talk about this as much. A lot of people haven't even seen this, but yeah, I highly recommend it. I love the score by Brad Fiedel as well. Of course, he always does a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, James, we know that. We all know that they were in Ace Ventura: Pet Detectives.
Yeah. Yeah, Last House on the Left was before I Spit on Your Grave. I Spit on Your Grave was what, 70? Last House on the Left was 72. I think I Spit on Your Grave was like, what, 78?
That was like 70.
79?
Yeah, like 78.
Yeah.
79.
You can tell it's very heavily inspired by Last House on the Left. They're very similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I Spit on Your Grave is way more brutal with the rape thing. And then, of course, it's her getting revenge on her tormentors and not the parents.
Yeah,
Local
absolutely.
animator. Movie Lover 120 is in the chat. How's it going? That's a bummer. Could have saw Robert England, but it's canceled. That sucks.
Oh man,
But hopefully get another chance.
he's probably my biggest that I want to get his
Me
autograph.
too.
If I
Yeah.
haven't got his yet.
Yeah, he's very up there for me.
I got Heather Langenkamp though.
Nice. Yeah, Ace Ventura, yeah. If you look at Bob Rousse's website, or I don't know if it's around there, he became a golfer after he left Cannibal Corpse. It says that he was in the movie too, but I don't think he was. I think he was gone by that point because I think Rob Barrett had just replaced him when they appeared in Ace Ventura. But but yeah, Bob Rouse pretty much disappeared. Like they couldn't get a hold of him for the documentary, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Amber loved Serpent in the Rainbow. Good. Great movie. Yeah, highly recommend it for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, one of the more underrated Wes Craven films.
Yes, indeed. Taste the Rainbow. They're talking about Skittles in the chat.
What the hell?
Serpent in the Rainbow, I guess.
Taste
You
the
don't want to
Rainbow.
taste this rainbow, trust me. Yeah, Spirit Grove was 1978. That's what I thought. Very similar indeed. All right, so what's your number 5 horror fan? Or number 4, I mean, sorry.
So next up, I know this one isn't liked, but I think that's what nostalgia does to someone, is that a movie can be bad and you still have that soft spot. My number 4 is Shocker. This movie has no rules. This movie makes no sense. It makes up things as it goes, but I'd be damn lying if I didn't say it was entertaining. This movie is just a blast to watch. Mitch Pileggi as Horace Pinker, so freaking crazy. It kind of feels like Wes Craven was trying to create another Nightmare franchise for himself.
Definitely.
I think kick-ass soundtrack too. All the rock and metal on here is great. You have the No More Mr. Nice Guy cover by Megadeth in here. And without a doubt, one of my favorite scenes is when they're fighting but going through different channels. And like an explosion could go off and Horace say, "This is my kind of town." So in retrospect, yes, this movie is dumb, but damn, do I love everything with this film. Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, I love it.
That is very fun, and yeah, like you see, I guess Wes Craven sold the rights to the Freddy Krueger character, and then Shocker. He directed Shocker the same year as Nightmare 5, and then I think Horace Pinker wasn't an attempt at another Freddy, and then he was even became more comedic and more like wisecracking as the movie went on. And yeah, Mitch Pileggi is a lot of fun. His bald head, his great tan, and just his hilarious wisecracks. It's a lot of weird moments that are really out there, don't make any sense, but it's a very, very fun movie. It's a blast. It's so 80s,
You even got that scene where he cracks one-liners, he bites the fingers off, it's his finger looking good.
Yeah, exactly.
And what was with that thing when he was like making a deal with the devil in his cell and he's like, "Give it to me," and it's like, "You got it."
Yeah, the disembodied lips come out of the TV. You got it, baby. Yeah, so many bizarre scenes in that movie, but yeah, I love it. It's a blast. Yeah. It's kind of stupid, but it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a guilty pleasure. One of the best as far as that type of thing goes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character kind of reminds me of Mark Patton as Jesse in Nightmare 2 a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Necessary distraction, loves it.
Nice.
Yeah. Me too. Jackson Knight's back. How's it going?
What's up?
Welcome.
So what's your number 4, Sean?
Speaking of guilty pleasures, Deadly Friend. I'm sure you didn't expect that to be in top 5. I can't help it. I love it. It's just so much fun. I don't know. It's just a a big part of my childhood. I would say like that's the one that I just watched like all the time. I love it, and I kind of had a huge crush on her. I
Yeah.
mean, she was hot, man.
Yeah, I have both Deadly Blessing and Deadly Friend on VHS, but there's a huge stack of VHS tapes on top of them in my horror VHS wall, and I just did not feel like digging them out. I was like, man, I already dug all this episode. I just didn't have the willpower to move all the ones on top of it, and just probably like 30 tapes on top of those. So I don't know why I have them so low, but
Interesting how this came out the same year as Chopping Mall too, like two hot like slasher movies. Like
Chopping Mall had a laser blowing up a girl's head.
Yeah.
But Deadly Friend had a soccer ball taking off Mama Fratelli from the Goonies head.
Love it.
Yeah, such an over the top like crazy moment. But then,
I know. If it wasn't for scenes like that, it almost would feel like a ABC afternoon Saturday special or whatever.
Yeah.
With like these a few nasty gore scenes thrown in.
Yes, indeed.
I think Deadly Friend is just another one of those Wes Craven gems that not a lot of people talk about at all.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I used to rent that and Deadly Blessing from the video store, and I would always get them mixed up. I'd always say, I want to go watch Deadly Friend. I knew they're both directed by Wes Craven. And they're right beside each other in the video store.
Also good.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 4, and my number 4 and my number 3 are almost a tie. It's kind of hard to pick one or the other because it really depends on what you're in the mood for. But I got them both right here. I guess I'll go ahead and go with the original Last House on the Left.
Nice.
Yeah, we already talked about, it's a very sleazy, very nasty, very disturbing movie. The horrific and gruesome rape and torture scenes are very hard to watch, of course, but it does make it all the more satisfying when those scumbags get their just desserts by the girl's parents.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, as far as early 70s exploitation horror films go, I do think this is definitely one of the best still, and it's a little more mainstream than some of the other ones I've seen, like I Drink Your Blood and like stuff like that. Yeah, very good movie. And like I said, David Hess as Krug is a very terrifying villain. He's kind of more realistic type of villain than obviously than Freddy. You definitely root against him, but he does a great job sending chills down your spine. And I heard he even made the actresses uncomfortable on set, like they were afraid of him. And then I think he even came up with a few ideas, like a scene where he told the girl, piss your pants. I think that was actually his idea. So he got to ad-lib a lot of line, and then and he was a musician too and a composer, and I think he might have contributed to the soundtrack as well. And then of course David Hess was also in House on the Edge of the Park, which is very similar to this movie, and he's played a similar character. That was directed by, of course, Ruggiero Deodato, who also did Cannibal Holocaust, which is probably the most shocking horror movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's definitely up there too. This is pretty much Wes Craven's first full-length horror film. I think it still holds
There's
up.
a couple scenes though that just get me that are like heartbreaking, like when the girl's just about to get out to the road and there they are. There he is with the machete right there. Cuts her right off.
I know, it's so frustrating.
Like, she was just there.
Yeah, the remake, she actually survived. She just went through hell, but then she survived, and even the kid, even the son of Krug, whose name's now Jared or Justin instead of Junior, like the original, even he survives. So, but I do think the parents were better actors in the remake, and I do think the revenge was way more satisfying, just done overall better. But I do prefer this one by a hair.
Hey, Trash Ass, what's up?
Trash Stash, how's it going?
Never heard of that. Pink Flamingos.
Yes, I agree with Jackson. It's a very hard movie to sit through.
Isn't it the other heartbreaking scene too when the girl walks off into the lake?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Very cringeworthy.
Mm.
Is it bad that my proctologist does the entire exam with both his hands on my shoulders?
Watermelon is great. What is going on?
What's up, Trash Stash?
Yeah.
Yes, Popeye's chicken is awesome.
Old cheerleaders die. That's a pretty recent one, isn't it? Like
It's a classic franchise. They need to come out with a Criterion collection box set. Flamingos too. Yeah, that is a crazy movie. That was John Waters, wasn't it? With Divine.
Oh, that's that one?
I think yeah. I think that's it. Something Flamingos. I think it's Pink Flamingos. Yeah, that movie's more gross than like horrific. That's just more like ugh. Just nasty. I don't even want to say something disgusting things that happen in that movie. Things I could never unsee. Hey, I have a really strong stomach though. It's hard for me to get offended by movies, but man, that one's just nasty.
Well, these next two are always switching off for me. It depends on the day, really. But for right now, my number 3 will go to this classic, The Hills Have Eyes.
Nice. I love that cover. That's awesome.
Great choice.
The Arrow Video Steelbook.
Nice.
I think also this movie has one of the better remakes, but I still prefer the original. To me, it just has a creepier tone and atmosphere to it. You got Dee Wallace, and I think her first film role. You can talk about that one, but yeah, cannibals in the film. You got Michael Berryman as a Pluto, I believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got Pluto, Mercury, all named after planets. And I think Wes Craven also directed The Hills Have Eyes 2 from the 80s.
Yeah.
I watched
Unfortunately.
that.
Unfortunately,
I watched that once, and the moment the dog has a flashback, I said, "Oh my god!"
I draw the line at things like that.
Yeah. Don't know what he was thinking.
This is Wes Craven's second movie after Last House on the Left, and to me, I just prefer this one. I think that it's still shocking in a lot of things, and even the score. Like when the title pops up and you hear like the twinkly sound of the score, it's just very eerie.
It's creepy.
Yeah. So yeah, The Hills Have Eyes, I think, is a classic one.
Great choice.
Great choice. Great choice.
I'll save my full thoughts on that for here in a little bit. So what's your third favorite, Sean?
Well, yeah, this is certainly a big one. Scream.
Nice.
Great choice.
I know it's probably cliche, but I love it. I think it's a great movie, and I do think it's a classic. And I do think it kind of saved the slasher genre pretty much, in the 90s at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of always along with like Candyman and then the Chucky sequels and a few others. Yeah, Scream. When I think of 90s horror, I think of Scream. Like that's just like the face of 90s horror in my mind.
Yeah.
Sure. So when it comes to 80s horror, like it's almost impossible to narrow it down to top 50. And
yeah,
the 90s horror, like it'd be hard to even come with a top 10 because I can't even think of 10 that I really love. But Scream would definitely be on it.
I just think that that opening is one of the greatest openings in horror history. It's brilliant. Like, I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Cookies on Toast, Mecha Manila 99's in the chat. How's it going?
Yeah, well, we're just getting started, pretty much.
Yeah. Just in time for Nightmare on Elm Street and Cannibal Corpse. I love both those things too.
Two great things in life.
Indeed. All right, sorry if I missed some of the messages in the chat. I'm just trying to keep up with it, but
There's a lot going on there.
yeah, I know it's a very active chat. So if anybody said anything that I might have missed, I apologize. I'm just trying to kind of multitask here.
Most underrated, maybe. There are a few gems
perhaps.
in there in the 90s.
There are, yeah. There's a lot. There's some good ones, but just. All right, so my number 3 is also going to be Scream, and like I said, it's almost a tie with Last House on the Left. It just kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I want to watch a nasty 70s exploitation movie, if it's a good revenge movie, I'll watch Last House on the Left. But I want to watch like kind of more self-aware, almost parody of the horror genre as a whole, I'll watch Scream. And I just love these characters. Yeah, I love all the characters. Of course, Sydney and Dewey, and Gail was kind of a bitch in this one, but she redeemed herself in the end. It kind of grew on you, and then her character was was like expanded in the sequels. And she won you over by the end, but in this movie she was kind of more kind of rooted against her. She's kind of more despicable.
Like a tabloid fodder
Right,
kind of journalist.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I love Randy. He reminded me a lot of myself. When I first watched this, I was like, that's me. And then of course Billy and Stu, who are, spoiler alert, the killers. Although Billy's the more kind of cold, calculating, like psychotic one who's just really creepy and using chills, and the Stu's kind of the more crazy, over the top, wild, hot-headed sadist, and he has some really funny lines. I love his back and forth with Randy in the video store.
I know, it's funny when you watch that back to me. Like, how did I not see that?
Yeah, exactly.
The way they were acting, like.
But I guess the thing is, like, I think Wes Craven made Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, really obvious on purpose. So you would think, oh, he's too obvious, he can't be the killer, and it worked. It fooled me.
Right.
And I certainly would have never guessed there were going to be two killers. And yeah, him and Matthew Lillard have good chemistry, and yeah, the whole cast is great. Of course, Neve Campbell and David Arquette, and of course Wes Craven's directing is on point as always.
Even Rose McGowan is pretty good.
Oh yeah, she plays Dewey's sister.
Right.
Yeah, the whole cast is great. Yeah, very fun movie, and perfect blend of humor and horror, and great little references and nods and Easter eggs to things that only true horror fans will notice and appreciate. And I like when they're talking. I like the killer, the crank phone calls. They just get more and more tense, build some great suspense. That opening is like one of the suspenseful openings, right up there with the original. When a Stranger Calls. And of course, it's kind of a nod to movies like that and Black Christmas, with the killer calling before he stalks his victims, and it's a pretty brutal kills sometimes as well. But yeah, great movie. I need to review this on soon, but we talked about it a lot in the last Morbid Hour live stream. So do consider it a masterpiece. It's very, very mainstream and very talked about a lot, but it's still great.
For good reason.
Indeed.
Well, my number 2, actually, much like Hellhound, what you said, my number 2 is Scream. I've been in a Scream mood, since I was marathoning with the new film. But like I said, these two kind of switch off for me. If I prefer the more grittier tone, I'll go with Hills of Eyes. Or fun, Scream. Pretty much everything you two have already said. Great film, great opening, really fun characters, and yeah, it's Scream. It's great.
It's a Scream. Yeah, Ghostface is a cool slasher, and it's interesting these different a different person or people every time.
Jack Frost is great. That's a little bit of a stretch.
Ghostface is a little clumsy though. He's a little
Yeah.
vulnerable killer. He's no Michael Myers, you know.
No, not at all.
The words. All right, we're done with the top two.
All right, my
Take it
number
away.
2 will be The Hills Have Eyes. This is, I guess, this is Arrow 2, but it's not the Steelbook, but still a very cool cover. Yeah, I love this movie. I only saw it first saw it like 5 years ago, maybe. Yeah, late bloomer, but when I first saw it, I was like, wow, I can't believe I never saw this. I love it. Dee Wallace is awesome. I love all the characters, all the hillbilly bad guys, and the like the old man too at the gas station. You know, stay on the main road. Classic old man trying to warn the people making the wrong turn or going in the wrong place where they're not supposed to be. You know.
Yeah, it's become a pretty common horror movie trope.
Right. It's pretty brutal at times too, and obviously the rape scene and that whole scene in the trailer was crazy. You know, with the baby, like whoa, that was scary. You know, that was scary.
Definitely.
A real visceral horror there.
Absolutely.
And then they had the baby set up like they're gonna kill the baby.
Yeah.
Oh!
Pretty brutal.
It's crazy.
I'm glad they didn't, but Mr. Dan and Horror is in the chat. How's it going, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, Cursed is the one, Christina Ricci, right?
Yeah, the werewolf movie. I saw it in the theater. I wasn't a big fan, honestly.
So did I.
Had some bad CGI and just weird editing, and just I don't know, it just wasn't really. I don't know. I was like, Wes Craven doing werewolves. This should be awesome. That should be a winning combination. But I was kind of.
I know. Yeah, CGI kills it for me.
Yeah.
They had a good cast in there.
Yeah, it sure did, for sure. How's it going, Drum Smash 88? Yeah, I might have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Christina Ricci, check out Yellow Jackets on. I've been watching on Hulu.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, is it any good? I've heard good things about it.
It's good. It's an interesting story. She's really good in it too. It's pretty hard. Oh, it's like drama /horror.
Christina Ricci's in it. You said?
Yeah, and
she owned as Wednesday Addams. I still think that's her best role.
Yeah.
Taco Bell is impressive, and donuts are indeed awesome. Yeah, I agree with that, movie lover. All right,
Well, there is an unrated version of Curse too.
Of course. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Hemlock Grove.
I've seen a little bit of that, but I doubt that the werewolf transformation in that is on par with American Werewolf in London or The Howling.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe it's third best. I don't know.
Does not belong in the same conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
Necessary Distraction saw it, yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yes, she is a crazy bitch.
All right, so my number 2, I agree with Sean, is going to be The Hills Have Eyes from 1977.
Nice.
I guess this is loosely based on the Sawney Bean clan. It's kind of similar to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but even more isolated, more secluded location in the middle of the desert with nothing. You know, of course, the Carters on a road trip, and they break down. They're attacked by the cannibalistic mutant family who torture them and eat them. And of course, Michael Berryman is Pluto. He's a lot of fun. He's great. He's a really nice guy in real life too. I've seen him in interviews. He seems like a really cool guy. I'd love to meet him someday, and he's really good. Then Mars, played by, is it Lance Gordon or Keith Gordon? One of them is in Christine, and the other one's in this. I always get them mixed up. I think it's, I don't know. The guy plays Mars is something Gordon, and then the other guy I just named was in Christine. I've always got them mixed up. He's a great villain. And then the scene with the baby, and then it's really, really brutal. And he jumps off the roof and then attacks them and then bites the bird's head off and drinks the blood. And then Dee Wallace's character, he kills her and takes her baby, and then Doug, has to go after him. But my favorite scenes are when the family, the good family, the Carters, fight back against the evil hillbillies. I love the scene where the dog Beast knocks Mercury off a cliff and kills him, and he attacks he attacks Pluto and kills him, and then of course Papa Jupiter is the leader. Papa Jupe, yeah. I like how they talk on walkie-talkie. About Pluto and Mars dialogue, like, I hear rocks falling or something. You got rocks in your head, asshole. Like, they're really funny and a lot of fun. Then of course Ruby, played by Janice Blythe, who I think was one of the only returning cast members to be in the entire sequel. Like, I think the actor who played one of the kids was also in it briefly at the beginning, but I think she's the only one who was in like the whole thing. And then of course Michael Berryman returned in that movie too as Pluto. He teams up with his uncle, the Reaper, but we'll get to that in a minute. Really good movie. Yeah, some pretty disturbing, horrific scenes, but some pretty funny moments as well, as is usually the case with Wes Craven. And there's Wes Craven's movies usually have a really good blend of humor and horror, and there's also always a revenge theme. It seems like the villains always get their just desserts at the end. There's more to get their comeuppance, and
that's true.
There's also a lot of traps, true. Like the Carter family sets traps for the evil family cannibals, much like Nancy did in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and it seems to be a very prevalent theme throughout his films, and I just love it. I think it's awesome. But it's a good movie. I need to get the Blu-ray.
That's a cool thing, actually, is that a few Wes Craven movies are either based or loosely based on true stories most of the time, is how they're promoted.
Right.
Well, I guess I have a feeling we might all have the same number one. Yeah.
Probably. Let's look up something real quick. All right, so it's Lance Gordon who played Mars in this. It's going to bug the hell out of me if I said the wrong. Yeah, Lance Gordon plays Mars, and Keith Gordon played Arnie and Christine.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Lance Gordon, Hills of Eyes.
I guess before I get to my number one, I will just throw out a few honorable mentions. Just to get those.
Some as well.
First up, of course, The Last House on the Left. I know it's a very classic movie, very influential in the horror genre. It definitely would have been in my list, maybe number 6. But it's just not one that I've rewatched a ton. So, but that's what you were saying. To avoid feigning, just keep repeating. It's only a movie. It's only a. So
I said that when I saw Twilight. I did keep repeating, "It's only a movie. It's only a movie."
Of course, The Serpent and the Rainbow. As you've already shown, very underrated film. I really like the voodoo aspect of it and all that. And finally, of course, Deadly Friend as well. That's a great one. I still need to get that. Deadly Blessing.
Yes.
Pretty underrated.
Very.
This is a pretty cool slasher, as well as, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending of this movie caught me off guard. And I said, where the hell did that come from?
I know. That's true.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on?
Yep, absolutely. But if we're getting to number one, I think it's to no one's surprise. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, baby.
Yep, this movie is fantastic. It's a part of my second favorite horror franchise of all time. Robert Englund is killer. The cast's great. Features my personal favorite final girl, Nancy Thompson, played by Heather Langenkamp. And, this is when Freddy was scary. This movie, he was very creepy. The first time you really get to look at him is the scene in the alley with Tina. The way he's like, it's just, creepy.
This is God.
Yep. This movie is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, in my opinion. Well, I guess the only thing I could nitpick would be the final scene where the mom gets dragging through the door.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, the ending is a little underwhelming. I heard that Wes Craven didn't want to end it that way either. So
if they just fixed that ending, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
It would be a perfect 10, like you said.
It's really my only complaint is the ending.
You almost wish like they did like pulled a Star Wars and like redid it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is just
God.
Even Tina's death, that is a insane death. How they did that effect of her on the ceiling getting dragged. I always thought it was a neat little touch. The fact that you can hear Freddy dragging her, but you can't see him. So you just like,
yeah, leaves a lot to the imagination.
Oh yeah,
great suspense.
Yeah, it's great. It still holds up too, like
big time. The stupid remake is already dated, but the '84 original still stands the test of time and is still a masterpiece. It always will be.
Absolutely. It's phenomenal. Like, I love the score too. Like, the score is amazing. Like, the atmosphere in it, like, killer.
Hell yeah. Did you have any honorable mentions, Sean?
Yeah, when you guys have mentioned Swamp Thing. It's a fun one. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, I always like Swamp Thing, the DC Comics character of the same name, and I think that was, that was one of that was kind of a different movie for Wes Craven.
Yeah,
there's a lot of horror elements in it. I think David Hess is in it too from Last House on the
Ralph
Left.
Bates from the Hammer movies, and
right. And Dick Durock plays Swamp Thing, who of course also played the evil Hulk in the original '70s TV show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
I actually was flipping the channels the other day, and I caught it at the scene where Ralph Bates turns into the monster when his skin is like when it's coming out of like a cocoon kind of or something. He's got the messed up hair and the like.
See you later, James Moss. Thanks for coming by.
Have a good one.
Yeah, Amber, I haven't seen Wolf Like Me. I haven't seen that yet. Is it good? So I'm trying to keep up with the chat. I might have missed a few comments.
I was a fan of the comic back in the day.
Yeah, same here. I got quite a few Swamp Thing comics. I haven't seen that new TV show that came out, but I like Wes Craven's original movie, and then Return to Swamp Thing was.
It's pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
Heather Locklear though, she looked good.
Yeah, yeah. The first one was a little more dark and kind of horror-esque. Of course, Anton Arcane, his makeup looked a little cheesy, but. But yeah, I remember renting that from the video store a long time ago. But yeah, Louis Jordan does play a good villain, and of course Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah,
is
she
great.
was really good.
And Ray Wise, who's in it briefly, as Alec Holland before he becomes a Swamp Thing. I always liked him, like in RoboCop, and then he's pretty much always good in everything he's in.
What'd you think of Red Eye? The one on the plane.
I saw that at the theater. Yeah, so I loved Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow, Jonathan Cain in Batman Begins. I was thrilled to learn that he was going to play a villain in a horror film directed by Wes Craven. I saw it, and Rachel McAdams was another favorite of mine. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Kelly Murphy was still pretty creepy and menacing, but Rachel McAdams kind of kicked his butt through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But definitely some very suspenseful scenes for sure on the plane and stuff. And I dug it. I haven't watched it like in years, but
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not great, but
yeah. Any more honorable mentions? Because I'm going to list mine.
go for it.
All right. So yeah, People Under the Stairs, which we already talked about. Very dark, disturbing subject matter, but Wendy Roby and Everett McGill as the villains are just way too cartoonish and just too hilarious to really be disturbed by anything in this movie. And Fool, the main protagonist. Usually kids in horror movies annoy me, but he was pretty cool. I liked him. And then Ving Rhames and the dog Prince. Yeah, it's very, very enjoyable. And then the guy, one of the people in the stairs is missing his tongue. Who's like, Fool? And and then the people in the stair, the title characters, the people under the stairs, like had the really long hair and the long nails and really pale. And again, that could be really, really scary if done right. But this movie more plays it for laughs. And I love pretty much everything Everett McGill says when he's like in the chimney and then the dust hits him. He's like, I can't see. Then when she's on the phone, she's like, I'm going to cut off something else if he's in my yard. And Everett McGill's in the background like, his balls.
It's funny. Isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious. Then, of course, Shocker. Yeah, very fun movie. I think it was an attempt to create another Freddy Krueger. I love the idea. There was a lot of executed serial killer comes back for revenge as a ghost movies around this time. Horror Show and The Chair and Prison and and it's a cool idea. I think they did overcomplicate it too much, like with the main character played by Peter Berg, and like dreaming about the murders and then materializing himself at the scene of the crime somehow, I guess, and then he's even like Horace Pinker's illegitimate son for some reason. Like, why? Could it just been he witnessed the murder, then the killer was executed, and his from Peter Berg's character's testimony, and then he comes back for revenge, like, and possesses people. Like, was that too much? They really overcomplicated it, but it's fun to see him surfing, through different television sets, different shows and movies. That was pretty awesome. I got this on Blu-ray too, but I grabbed the DVD instead for whatever reason. I guess I was distracted. But yeah, Jonathan Parker really reminds me a lot of Jesse, played by Mark Patton from Nightmare 2, which we'll get to later. But yeah, very fun movie, very cheesy, very 80s, awesome soundtrack, awesome kind of heavy metal vibe, and really funny scenes. And pretty riveting finale, even though there's a lot of stupid moments, but still very enjoyable. Then, of course, there's all the Scream sequels, Scream 2, 3, and 4, all directed by Craven. And
we
talked about that in the last.
Yeah.
What's that?
To say, he directed every one except the newest one. Yeah.
The newest one, yeah. Yeah, we talked about all these in the last video, so I'll just say if you want to hear my full thoughts or our full thoughts on the rest of the Scream series, check that out. And then, like I said, Red Eye, I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was pretty good. Cillian Murphy's a great actor, and he does play a great villain. And yeah, people who have a fear of flying might find this one really, really tense and very more realistic type of horror movie. Kind of deals with like terrorism and stuff. And of course, this was wasn't too long after the 9/11 attacks, so it was really hit really close to home when it came to that whole sense of fear and paranoia and just realistic scary situations. But yeah, I dug it. And but of course, for my number one Wes Craven movie is, of course, going to have to be The Hills Have Eyes Part 2.
I thought you were going to say Music of the Heart. Gloria.
That would be my second. Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be that one and then Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy, but I just couldn't decide.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the dog has a flashback. Yeah, Michael Berryman's back as Pluto. And
it's got to be the winner.
Reaper, and yeah, Janice Blythe turns as Ruby. They're now part of a biker gang, and I don't know. It's pretty stupid. I don't know why I guess they released this on Blu-ray recently. Is it a Scream Factory release? Like, I don't know. They released Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, so why not? Might as well release this too. I'd rather watch this than that piece of crap.
I read somewhere that he never wanted that to come out. Did you hear that?
Hills Have Eyes 2?
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
Like
I'd rather
even he
watch it
was
than
embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I'd rather watch it than the 2000s Hills Have Eyes 2, which was a sequel to the awesome remake.
Also really bad, right?
Yeah, very bad. Much worse than the 84 one. But yeah, of course, my number one is of course the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. This is Wes Craven's masterpiece. We all know why. Robert Englund is awesome as Freddy Krueger. He was the scariest and most suspenseful here. And of course, Heather Langenkamp as Nancy. Quite possibly my favorite, probably my second favorite final girl ever next to Laurie Strode. But she fought back way more against Freddy in this one than Laurie did in Halloween, the original Halloween anyway. Yeah, great character, very creative concept. A killer that kills you in your dreams. Created, of course, one of the biggest slasher icons ever, Freddy. And I could go on and on about what makes this movie such a masterpiece, but I reviewed it on my
I
channel.
didn't think to get my glove. I have one too. I broke mine when I first got it. Like,
oh no!
Well, it broke. I shouldn't say I broke it, but
Yeah, I've got
I don't know. Maybe I was doing this too much. Like, damn it, broke the finger.
Hey, Tina.
Watch this.
Yeah. The long arms and the shadowy. Yeah, it's definitely the darkest and most mysterious. Freddy's more of a shadowy figure way before he became a wisecracking, campy, comedic clown.
And those scenes when he's in the boiler room are creepy. Like you just see his bald head or whatever, through the
very, very intimidating
pipes.
Yeah, I remember renting this from the video store, and it was fairly new, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was very scary and very creative. And of course,
I remember as a kid, Freddy's laugh in this movie creeped me out because it wasn't that loud cackle yet. It was more of the doctor it was but I think one problem I would have with this entire franchise is that really there's only one movie I don't like. I genuinely have fun with all of these except for one that we will get to.
I agree.
As this original film goes, this is a masterpiece.
Classic. Flawless. Except for the ending.
Nope.
Even though he's a lot scarier, more sinister, he still has some great lines in the first one, though.
Yeah.
I'm your boyfriend.
No running in the hallways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even Glenn's death, that was pretty brutal. Drags him into the bed and then the freaking geyser.
The geyser of blood. Yeah. I didn't see that coming. I was like, holy crap. And I used to have a Walkman cassette player, and I had a TV on my bed, and I used to do that. I used to hold the TV on my bed, on my lap. It was plugged in the wall, and I used to have my cassette player. I wish I could say that the first time I watched Nightmare on Elm Street was with that setup, but it wasn't.
You watching Miss Nude America?
Of course.
How you gonna hear what she's saying?
All right, so I'm really behind on the chat. Yeah, it's a master. I still consider it, despite the ending, I still consider it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nancy's mom, Ronnie Blakely.
Forgive that.
Being a balloon, being pulled through the door. And yeah, it always kind of annoyed me when I first saw it, how she didn't believe her daughter, until the very end. Because, my gosh, she pulled a hat out of her dream, and it even says Fred Krueger inside of it. And she's still not impressed. Dang, what more is it going to take?
You also got the legendary John Saxon in this film. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he's awesome too.
Love John Saxon. Always been a huge fan of his. He's great in everything.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. Rest in peace. Yeah, that actor who played Glenn, Johnny Depp. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Did he have a career at all after Nightmare on Elm Street? Because
Never seen him in anything else.
yeah, me neither. Yeah, I think that was his only movie that I know of. Oh, he's in this and that Private Resort or Fraternity Vacation or whatever it was. I think that was about it. Johnny Depp, huh? Nope. Doesn't ring a bell. All right, so yeah, well, we counted down our top 5 Wes Craven films, and which is a perfect lead-in right to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. Sean, you want to give your thoughts on the second film?
Yeah, Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Highly underrated, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Got the figure, too, the NECA.
Oh, yeah, me too, yeah.
Great poster, too. Really cool.
Boxes in the other room.
That's the figure, yeah.
Yeah.
The best, in my opinion, the best version of Freddy. Like
the best looking, yeah,
the best looking, the most sinister, really dark, and great performance by Robert Englund. He's amazing. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, there's a couple cringeworthy scenes. Let's be honest, with the coach thing, and in the shower.
Yeah.
With
there's a little weird Freddy
all the basketballs bouncing on his head and stuff.
Freddy whipping his ass with a towel.
Yeah.
Out there. When I first saw it, I was like, what is happening? And then him making Jesse run laps in the gym just because he saw him at a bar. Like, what teacher does that? I would just said no. I told him to shove it.
Screaming like a girl.
Yeah. And of course, Meryl Streep was in it. I mean, Kim Myers.
She looks just like Meryl Streep.
He does. Yeah, Mark Patton's a cool guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he's really awesome. But yeah, when I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, I didn't really know what to think about it. It kind of grew on me over the years. I love that they did something different. I love that it wasn't just a bunch of teens having nightmares and Freddy killing them in their dreams. I think it's a cool idea how he's trying to possess Jesse so he can come out in the real world. I kind of consider it the Super Mario Brothers 2 of the Nightmare franchise because it's so different. It's kind of the black sheep of the series. It kind of sticks out.
It gets a lot of crap for that too.
It does, yeah. A lot of people hate it.
Why is that so hard to believe? He's from, he's like a supernatural character. Come on.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, it does have some really bizarre, really out there moments, but
if he can kill you in your dream and you die for real, why is it such a stretch for him to possess you too?
Exactly. But Freddy was very like you said, Robert Englund as Freddy had the best look in this movie. Like that makeup job is just awesome. Yeah, I love that. And then and he's also still pretty scary in this one. This movie's very dark, like the first one. There's not like a whole lot of humor in it.
Right.
He does have some really awesome lines too, like "You're all my children now," and then "Help yourself, effer." You've got the body, I've got the brains.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, and I love the opening with the bus, the school bus. Like that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite dream sequences in the entire series, actually. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of weird, bizarre moments in it. Some really odd decisions, but overall, I do like it. I also love Clu Gulager, of course, from Return of the Living Dead, and several others. He's no stranger to the horror genre, and he's great as Jesse's dad. And yeah, the whole cast is good. Some pretty nifty kills and pretty awesome, explosive finale. And like I said, Mark Patton's great as Jesse, and he's got some great lungs in him too. I think he counts
great
as a
dancer too, right?
Yeah, he is. The scene where he's cleaning his room.
Yeah, I always got to snap with him. The moment he cuts the music on and puts the glasses, I got to snap with him and just. Yeah, what I'll say about this movie is that I have always loved this film. It's probably my 4th favorite in the franchise, really. Pretty much everything you said, the makeup of Freddy, I think Kevin Yeager did a fantastic job making him look more like a male witch. He had like yellow eyes. And probably my favorite shot of Freddy ever is in this movie. And it's right after he says, "You're all my children now." It's when the dad shoots at the grill and the flames come up and you see Freddy behind it.
Badass, right?
And yeah, the beginning of this movie, the bus scene, to me, I never really hear a whole lot about that, but it feels like something that would be a real nightmare. Like you could be asleep, and then all of a sudden you start falling out of nowhere, and you wake up like, oh shit, it freaks you out. The way Freddy is all in the darkness, and he's scraping the claws up the seats of the bus.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the whole pool scene, I know that's been a negative for a lot of people. The fact that he comes out in the real world and starts killing, that has never bothered me at all.
I mean, he comes out in the real world in the first one too. So I mean, I think it's cool. They did something different. I'm glad they didn't just try to imitate the first one. I'm glad it wasn't just a rehash.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that look, whether lots of these movies will either be the resurrection of Freddy or the death of Freddy that may not hit very well. He dies by love in this movie. The power of love kills Freddy. But yeah, Mark Patton was great in this film. Clu Gallagher, and yeah, I think Grady's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
like
he's played by Robert Russler, who went on to play one of the ghostly teens, and sometimes they come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the scene where Freddy first takes full possession of Jesse. And he rips out of it. It looks like he rips out of his body, and then pretty cool special effect. And then when he goes after Grady in the room, and then has the knives coming out of his fingers. All of the music during that scene, everything very very creepy stuff.
I love when you see down his mouth and you see Freddy's eyeball and the
yeah,
it's a really cool effect, really cool shot.
Mm-hmm. The music of this movie is so underrated because it's probably the most different out of the whole franchise. It has its own sound, its own taste.
Except the exploding bird.
Yeah, great score, and like you said, great makeup by Kevin Yeager, who's definitely a special effects master. This movie's no exception.
Yep. And this movie, Freddy doesn't really have the glove most of the time. It's the knives are coming out of his fingers.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, and I heard that the glove got stolen on set.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but because then also but I think it makes sense in universe because we see the knives come out of Jesse's fingers, and for the rest of it, Freddy he just has the knives coming out of his fingers instead of wearing a glove. So I think
technically Jesse is
right. Yeah, exactly. He's in Jesse's body, taking full control of him, which again I think is a cool concept. I like that idea.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. Because it's not like Jason Goes to Hell, where Jason's in a different body and just looks like whatever actor he's possessing. And this one, when he takes full possession, he still looks like Robert Englund.
Except when you see him in the mirror or whatever, and oh, it's Jason.
Really cool.
Part 2 was great, but this next one is my.
I like the knives. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the knives coming out of the fingers, and then that's how it looked in the NES game too.
Yeah.
Or the first time I played that, I was like, "This is gonna be awesome," and then it's a little better than the Friday 13th NES game, but that's not.
That's old school.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Movie lover. When are they going to come out with a really cool special edition like that? Scream Factory, come on.
Yeah, Scream Factory needs to do a box set of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. They did Jason, they did Halloween, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream
It'd be
Factory
great
box
if they
set
get the rights,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's my number one franchise I'd like to see get the Scream Factory treatment for a collector's set. That and the Hammer Dracula movies, but that's going to be a lot more difficult considering almost each one is owned by a different company.
Yeah. Funny enough, I think that when it comes, we got many Halloween box sets, many Friday the 13th box sets, but the best thing I think we've got for Nightmare is these old DVD, that clip show.
They have the original posters, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like the DVD posters. I like
me neither. Yeah, they kind of suck. like this, it's like okay, yeah, we see Freddy and Nancy. It's like man, that just gave it away.
That's the coolest movie poster ever.
I know it is. That's awesome. Yeah,
How could you not put that on the cover?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't, because that's a really, really cool artwork. People who haven't seen the movie might not know what Freddy looks like. So if you see the DVD's the version they see first, or the cover is going to remove all that.
Gives it away.
Yeah.
Yep. And also the Freddy on this cover, that's not even the Freddy from part 1. That looks like the look of part 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Boo. You guys ready to talk about Dream Warriors?
Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors.
I love it.
This is my second favorite next to the original.
Yeah, me too.
By far. I absolutely love this movie. When I first saw it, it blew me away. It is so much fun. I love the setting and the asylum, or whatever, the Center for the Troubled Youths who are having dreams of Freddy. I love the return of Nancy, played again by Heather Langenkamp, and then John Saxon as Lieutenant Don Thompson makes a brief appearance, and I like Craig Watson's character. I like the cast. I like the new the teens. And
it's a cool story, like cool concept.
Yeah,
the idea of these kids in group therapy and
and
working out their dreams. They're all having the same dream.
Right, and then they're all like tormented by the same guy, and then they're it's pretty cool, the idea like they can also use powers in dreams just like Freddy can. They use it to fight against them. I think that's a phenomenal concept. That's very creative, and it's not as dark as the first two. Right, it's not as dark or scary as the first two. We do see Robert Englund as Freddy a lot more. He's like definitely more like in the lighting usually instead of like in the darkness. But he wasn't quite the campy comedian yet. He did have a lot of wisecracks and one-liners, but to me they were kind of more cruel taunts that mocked his victims very often. It wasn't always just making jokes like constantly, and then it was still very sinister and very intimidating too. Even though
he's still intimidating enough.
He's still very evil. This has probably all my favorite Freddy lines. This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
So many great lines.
So many great ones.
It's the chair for you, kid.
Yeah. What's wrong, Joey? Feel a little tongue-tied? I love his evil laugh too. Yeah, this is to me, this is Robert Englund's magnum opus, like as Freddy. Like, I do think the first one's slightly better as a hair. It's more scary and more imaginative, but this one's a lot of fun. It's scary, it's funny. It's something that was entertaining, the most enjoyable, and it's just an absolute blast. When I first rented it from the video store, I fell totally in love with it. It's still one of my favorite 80s horror films ever. And
some of the best
sequels.
Dream sequences too, like use of the dream powers, and
you see all of them. The sets like for the dreams are very elaborate, like very, very well done, and very very creative. It's just very well designed. I love the part where Freddy possesses his own charred skeleton, and like his remains, his bones formed together, and then Craig Watson's character and Nancy's dad fight the animated skeleton with a stop motion animation effects. That's awesome. And then of course the Freddy puppet, which is also stop motion.
The marionette thing.
Yeah, and he made Philip into a puppet. Pulls him along with his veins. Like that was pretty gruesome. I just love it. I can't praise this movie enough. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. I
like the part with the mirrors on the walls.
He's
everywhere.
For me, this is my favorite nightmare film. This movie is my childhood. I watched this on repeat. Followed very closely by the first one, of course. They're like very close. But yeah, I will never forget just walking into the room as a kid, and on TV they played the Dawkins music video, and seeing Freddy wake up saying, "What a nightmare!" It was just. This probably has my favorite kill of the franchise with Philip's death, the marionette puppet. Just seeing his veins and tendons ripped out. And then you see Freddy in the sky, like. Craig Wasson is in this film. The only other film I've seen him in is Brian De Palma's Body Double. I think he's great in that too.
I think this pays homage to that because the Freddy skeleton buries him alive, just like in that Body Double movie.
And yep, Nancy Thompson back. Super pumped about that because, like I said, she's my favorite. And the effects.
I kind of consider the first one and the third film equal. Like I think it's really a tie. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I want a more scary, more suspenseful film, watch the first one. But I want to be, highly entertained and just have nonstop amusement and just be in awe of how fun and enjoyable movies is of that classic 80s feel. Then I'll watch the third film, watch Dream Warriors. But I really consider them about equal. That's why it's hard to rank these movies because I can't decide between the first and the third one. They're both tied at number one.
This has the best cast in the franchise, in my opinion, because every character is likable. My favorite has got to be Kincaid. I mean, the shit he said.
Ken Sagos is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm friends with him on Facebook, too. I talked to him briefly. I was thinking I was going to possibly ask him to, if he wanted to guest star on this show sometime, do a guest appearance.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to talk to Kincaid. It's a great cast. Yeah, Jennifer Rubin is Taryn.
Welcome home, Taryn.
Yeah, of course, Patricia Arquette. Yeah, Kristen Parker. I always like Patricia Arquette anyway, and she's good as Kristen. It's kind of the new female lead, even though Nancy's back, of course, too.
Patricia Arquette, yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yep, I love the fact that she has the ability to bring other people into her dream.
Yeah,
when she does that to Nancy, there's something I always get chills with when she stabs Freddy and he looks at her and just says, "You." Ooh.
The Freddy snake. Yeah, this one definitely had a bigger budget than the first movie, and like they could really go all out with those special effects and the dream sequences, and it's just very, very awesome.
I didn't notice that drum smash.
Oh yeah, JT Grogan's in the chat. What's up, JT Grogan? Yeah, Joey's cool. Mike Pope's in the chat. Hello, Mike.
Of course, it has probably the most the best hard rock and soundtrack.
Yeah, I love Doc. We're the Dream Warriors. I remember that music video was on all the time back in the day. I never noticed that
opening one. Into the fire.
Into the fire. Yeah, so 80s, so deliciously 80s. Yeah, I didn't notice that about the sleeves either. He didn't have stripes on the sleeves. I never noticed that.
Yeah,
good catch, Drum Smash. That was very interesting. I'll have to research the story behind it.
Yep,
was not aware of that.
Of course, Wes Craven was involved in this one again. He wrote the screenplay.
Right. Yes. That's always a good thing. So I think all the best Freddy movies had his involvement, of course.
Yep. Absolutely. And hell, I know even people would probably disagree with this one, but when it comes after this, when it comes to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, this is another one I love. I think it has a great cast. Alice is an excellent final girl. You see her go from the shy daydreamer to the badass who fights Freddy. Once again, fun characters. The soundtrack. I'm a metalhead, but I just love 80s music in general, and this has a great soundtrack. Freddy still looks cool. If I had a complaint, it would be I think they got rid of the surviving characters from 3 a little too soon, right first 15 minutes.
They pulled an Alien 3.
Yeah.
Only a little, not as abrupt as that because they didn't wasn't just a throwaway sentence. At least we did see them develop and then slowly be killed off instead of just by the way they died. But
and replace the main girl. Tuesday night replaced her, Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, it feels very different. She didn't really feel like the Arquette version, but I do like Tuesday Night. I'm friends with her too, but I like that character.
I think that's cool that she sang that song though. The running from the night.
Yeah, she has a great voice.
Yep. The effects done by Screaming Mad George are fantastic. The roach, Debbie turns into the roach.
I love that.
You can check in. Yeah, check out
the Roach Motel. Yeah, that was pretty out there, but it's pretty
That's
cool.
Classic.
The Bug Girl.
How's this for a wet dream?
I love that line. It's my favorite Freddy line in the whole movie. And of course, the pizza scene with the souls. Yeah, this is his movie for sure. And I think this is the first time he got top billing on the series, and it really shows. Because, yeah, this is definitely a step down from part 3, in my opinion. It definitely paved the way for the more comedic clown Freddy that we saw in 5 and 6, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, it's still enough good scenes. I do like that, you know, Kincaid and Kristen and Joey returned. Even though, Kristen isn't played by Patricia Arquette. Now she's played by Tuesday Night, but she does a fine job. But I do really like Alice, played by Lisa Wilcox.
Yeah.
She's a great protagonist. She's might possibly be my second favorite female protagonist of the series, next to Nancy, and quite possibly. She's great. She's definitely a worthy adversary.
And she did a number on him, boys. Like, she's doing karate kicking his ass, and like
all by herself too. It wasn't like, you know, she didn't always have help from her friends like the Dream Warriors in part 3. You know, they all teamed up against them. And this one, Alice, you know, she had her friends helping her, but a lot of times she had to fend off against Freddy on her own, which is cool. But yeah, this one's kind of more. It's not bad. You know, it's good. You know, it's not quite on the level of the first one, the third one, or even the second one for that matter. But I still like it. I think it's very enjoyable. It's kind of the beginning of the end, but I think it definitely has enough good in it to even out.
I still liked Freddy a lot in it, but the only part that bothered me is the scene in the beach with the sunglasses. I'm like, all right, now they're going too far.
It's like, okay, the razor blades, the gloves looks like Jaws, like with the fin, like in the sand. It's like, oh wow, this is definitely more parody now.
I absolutely adore this. But if you look at MTV at the time, this was definitely the MTV Freddy. You know, the neon colors, a rocking soundtrack. And, you know, at this same time, you know, I was a kid. I didn't know what I had at the time, but I had 2 VHS tapes of Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show.
I don't ever know a few of those.
But yeah, those were pretty fun. I remember Freddy had a guitar, and one of them is like a power jump. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must be hard to find. Like, do you have that DVD, or?
I had it on VHS.
I've got like 3 of those VHS tapes, the Freddy's Nightmares, and then I don't think it's ever been officially released on DVD, like in a box set with a complete series. But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it has by now. I don't know. But last time I checked, it wasn't. But yeah, like you said, Freddy with the guitar and stuff. Like, this is kind of when he became like a really mainstream, like, pop culture icon. This one kind of you know, paved the way for the more parody type of Freddy that we saw in the next 2 movies. But I still like it. I thought it's still pretty enjoyable, and some great Freddy lines, some great dream sequences and kills. It's not scary at all anymore, but it's a lot of fun, you know.
That's true. It's not scary at all.
It's very 80s.
That they killed off most of the mains from the third, because, you know, take a look at this for a second. Nancy came back, but she did die, but she died fighting and taking out Freddy. She didn't just get stabbed and then die. She went out fighting. I like it. But yeah, part 4 is a lot of fun.
Want to suck face?
Yes, there was a Nightmare on Elm Street show.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Alice is the only protagonist who's never been killed by Freddy. I agree with that right there. That is a brilliant, scintillating analysis. I couldn't have said it better myself. VOR.RED. Yes, indeed. Most indubitably. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, Amber, those are Freddy's Nightmares TV show. I'll tell you all about it. It's kind of an anthology type show. Freddy kind of hosted it and told the story, kind of like the Crypt Keeper and like Tales from the Crypt. And pretty interesting. I don't think you can stream it that I know of, but
it was fun though. I remember
it was fun. Yeah,
watch it
it's
every
pretty cool that became a thing. It actually had something to do with the Nightmare on Elm Street series, unlike the Friday 13th TV show. Had nothing to do with Jason.
I like how Freddy was basically like the Crypt Keeper doing his little vignette at the beginning.
Yeah, it was a cool idea.
So I may be the only person, but I don't hate part 5 either. It took me a long time to warm up to this one. mean, when I first saw it, I hated it. And then I watched it again. I appreciate how they wanted to do a darker atmosphere. This movie feels extremely gothic. You know, it looks like a castle. The atmosphere is dark. Freddy is more. I think they tried to make Freddy a vampire in this movie. There's 2 scenes where he actually hisses. When Amanda Kruger comes in, he's like, I said, "Why are you hissing?" But I like that he's dark again. I love the scene when she shows up and she says, "I'm gonna take you down," and he goes into the fog saying, "We'll see, bitch. We'll just see." I love that. But yeah, out of the first 5, this is the worst one, I think. But I still love
it. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it does have that awesome gothic tone and atmosphere. And I do think that has some really cool spooky scenery. And me and my buddy Darkwolf have an inside joke that like whenever we watch this, we always say, "Oh no, this is getting scary. This is getting suspenseful." What do we do? And then Freddy shows up. It's like, "Oh shoot, Freddy's here. He's gonna tell some jokes and just
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's interesting premise. It's a little different. That her, Alice's unborn child is dreaming of Freddy, and Freddy's kind of using him to get his power back and go in the real world or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of stupid things in it. This is the one with Super Freddy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the comic book guy is like, it's Super Freddy, and he's played by Michael Bailey Smith, who played Pluto in that Hills Have Eyes remake, and he wasn't played by Robert Englund in that scene. But yeah, some of the dream sequences are a little out there. I think they're kind of running out of ideas. There's a lot of ones like that. And then yeah, it's very, very silly and very campy. And then yeah, it's not scary at all. There's no suspense. There's no scares. There's no build up. Robert Englund as Freddy is just a total total comedic buffoon.
Yeah.
I still love watching. I'll always love watching Robert Englund. I love Freddy no matter what. I'll still find his performance enjoyable no matter what, no matter how it's written.
I didn't like the makeup either. Like it looked like
it looks
pizza
weird.
face or something. Like what?
Yeah, it looked odd. Like
he doesn't look right.
He looks like the villain on The Rescuers Down Under. But yeah. Again, yeah, the gothic atmosphere is cool, and yeah, some of the dream sequences are creative. This is the one where the girl eats herself to death too, isn't it? Like
yeah.
Yeah. And the scene in the fridge with all the food like rotting away, like with a stop animation, kind of looks like Pee-wee's Playhouse. The things inside of the fridge. But yeah, I kind of consider this more like middle of the road, kind of mediocre. I don't think it's really a good movie. This kind of can be enjoyed in like a so bad as good guilty pleasure kind of way, and like I still put it on from time to time and get enough enjoyment out of it. At least
it's one of my least watched. I hardly ever watch. Yeah, I really don't like it.
I haven't seen it a lot either.
Sorry.
That's why I asked if it was the one with the dining room table scene, because I haven't seen it very much.
I could see that they were trying to make a darker movie, like horror fan. Especially the beginning was very dark and like in the prison when they they raped the mother, Amanda. That was
a cool opening.
Dark,
Alice
like, this is gonna be an intense one.
Yeah.
And then Freddy shows up and he's like a cartoon character.
Yeah, it's just too silly. But yeah, that's a cool opening. Alice becomes Amanda Kruger. She's in the shower, and then she enters the asylum, where she was raped hundreds of times, and Freddy becomes the bastard son of 100 maniacs, and then one of them's played by Robert Englund too in that opening scene in the asylum. But yeah, very suspenseful, very creepy opening. The rest of the movie just kind of goes downhill, kind of falls flat in a lot of areas. But like I said, I don't hate it or love it. I just consider it very middle of the road. But like I said, I also said I haven't watched this one very much at all. So
it's a boy.
Yeah, it's a boy.
It had a dark, cool look to it though. Like
the
atmosphere was cool.
Dark look is beautiful, just very macabre and very gothic, and just really awesome set pieces and everything.
And Alice was very good still.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Lisa Kid Wilhugs was great. The way they kill Freddy at the end is kind of stupid, but whatever. The way they killed him in part 4 was kind of stupid too, for that matter.
Yeah, it really makes you think. If she killed Freddy in part 4 with the rhyme and showing his reflection, why didn't she just do that again?
Yeah, I know. Just do that again. Like, really? That's. I don't know. I don't get it. It's cool that the soul's tearing apart though, coming out of his chest and just ripping into pieces. That was cool.
Yeah.
But, the reason they were doing that was kind of a little far fetched and kind of contrived, and then a little inauspicious when it comes to ways to kill off Freddy. But whatever. I guess they ran out of ideas. I think that the most definitive way to kill Freddy was in part 3, where they buried his bones in hallowed ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, not a huge fan of this one, like, at all. But like I said, it could be enjoyed. I can kind of laugh at how stupid it is, but I can definitely understand why somebody would find it enjoyable for sure.
Look, even his sweater doesn't look right there.
Yeah. What the hell? It's like red and yellow.
You didn't even get the sweater right.
Damn. That's pretty bad.
Then we really get into the shit zone. Freddy's dead. The final nightmare.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. I like
the
it.
end complete, like Obituary says.
You got that right.
This is
franchise sure as hell was dead.
Yeah. This is a feel-good movie for me. Like, this movie is garbage. It is trash. But if I'm having just a shit day and I cut this on, I can be like, okay, I feel a bit better now. Like, nothing in this movie is good at all. This is literally a Looney Tunes cartoon.
I know.
We got like the zoop, zoop, zoop.
Yeah, movie love. It's the Batman Robin of the Elm Street.
Yes, exactly.
Yep, pretty much.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, I agree. Kevin Yeager was a genius.
I agree.
Yeah, I know what you mean, horror fan. It's kind of more like a parody of Nightmare on Elm Street. I guess it could be enjoyed on some level, but to me, this is the bottom of the barrel, and I do think it is garbage. And me and my roommate used to watch it, just kind of laugh at it. And like when it comes to the DVD, he had the other version that came with a box set that like came with the 3D glasses. This DVD I don't think has that. Yeah, that one, and that's kind of fun. It's it's silly, but yeah, when I first watched this, I saw the trailer, and like the trailer was like the beginning of another VHS tape I rented that also came out around that same time in '91. And I was like, oh, cool, Freddy's finally gonna, they're finally gonna kill Freddy off. The final chapter. That would be cool. But like, what really drew me to is those flashbacks, like the scenes of him as a human. I think those scenes are actually fairly well done. This could have been an awesome prequel. Like, it was a little contrived. Like, he was bullied in school, but the thing is, he was always sick. Like, he was, harming animals. And then, his foster father, played by Alice Cooper, abused him and stuff. And, like, we kind of saw how he first became a serial killer. They didn't need to give him a daughter. I think that was too contrived and kind of stupid, but whatever. But yeah, like all the flashback scenes when he was a human before he died, before he was burned alive by the angry parents, are done pretty well. And they're pretty serious. They're taken pretty seriously. Too bad the rest of the movie is a total cartoon and like just borders on parody. When I first watched this, I was intrigued by that trailer which showed the flashback scenes and also how they're gonna finally kill Freddy off, supposedly in a definitive way. And then I watched it and I was like, this is starting out weird. Like, for one thing, when people are in the dream world, they're still moving around. Like the guy in the video game, the guy sleepwalking. I know that they did that a few times in the other movies, like Tina, like going on the ceiling in the first one, and then Philip sleepwalking when Freddy was using him as a puppet. But this one, like, they're always doing whatever they're doing, like in the dream world. They're doing it in real life instead of just laying in their bed sleeping. And I was like, okay, well, it might get better. And then, the part where Freddy shows up riding on a broom, cackling like a witch and saying, "I'll get you, my pretty little son." I knew it was over. I was like, there's no hope for this movie. It's dead.
It's bad when they do a scene from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's a little too far. I was like, yeah, my hopes and dreams are dead. The franchise is dead. Much like it's like, wow, yeah, evil's finally met its match. The director of this movie, Rachel Talalay, I guess.
And some of the crappiest characters, like you don't care about any of them.
No. And it's a cartoon. It's got scenes right out of a Looney Tunes cartoon, like Roadrunner or Bugs Bunny, and then Freddy like moving the bed in nails, and then of course, don't forget the Power Glove. I used to have one of those. Those things were awful. Just as awful as this crappy movie. But yeah, this movie is garbage. But like Horror Fan 88 said, you could definitely watch it and just turn your brain off and laugh at how ridiculously stupid and just
I guess you could.
It's terrible. I don't watch it a whole lot, but every once in a while, like like you said, if you're in a bad day, then this movie definitely put you in a good mood because how ridiculous it is. But objectively,
I don't know. For me, it kind of makes me mad though. Like, how could they do this? How could this happen?
Well, I despised it when I first saw it. I thought it was absolutely horrible. Just an utter atrocious train wreck with no dreamy qualities. I was like, this is one of the worst horror sequels I've ever seen. I guess I must have saw this before Take Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. But like I said, over the years, it's kind of grown on me as a guilty pleasure, so that it's a good thing. But even then, like, I think there are better movies that, if that's what you want, there are movies that do that better, like Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 or Leprechaun 3. Because this movie's just trash, but it's pretty funny and how stupid it is, nonetheless.
I hate Halloween Resurrection. But there are absolutely people out there that would have nostalgia and kind of like, it's kind of fun. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I'd be like, cool. Yeah.
That's Resurrection, I can't enjoy on any level. It just pisses me off so bad.
Yeah, that's the reaction I get when I watch it.
I just can't even watch it. I just
gets me mad.
Yeah. I'd rather watch this than Resurrection, probably.
Yep. And one of the biggest jump scares in movie history. That scene where Roseanne Barr pops out of freaking nowhere.
Yeah. Even Johnny Depp has a brief cameo.
Yeah.
Brain on drugs.
Yeah. I kind of like when the cartoon comes out of the TV and they're playing Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly. That was very trippy, very psychedelic. But yeah, the visuals are kind of cool, and I can tell that they put a lot into it. It just saddens me because those flashback scenes were done really well and really serious, and the rest of the movie is just like a silly cartoon. It's just pathetic, just cringeworthy, and just frustrating, and how terrible it is.
You know that scene in the beginning where your John Doe is just rolling down the hill, and it seems like 5 minutes later? That reminds me of Black Sheep with Chris Farley. What in the hell was that?
Of course, you gotta mention the horrible 3D scene. Kids, put your 3D glasses on.
Yeah, if you look at this movie like a parody and just like a joke, then I guess you can kind of enjoy it. But he has a serious entry in the series. No, both thumbs down.
Even then, I thought the CGI was bad.
Yeah.
Imagine how bad it is now.
I didn't. Again, I kind of like the idea of a prequel, but I didn't really need to see where and why Freddy got his powers. I didn't need those dream demons that look like sperm cells appearing to him and then giving him the ability to terrorize people in their dreams. That was a little much. And then the way they kill Freddy at the end, oh man, it's just sucks. Hate this piece of crap.
I can see how it could be, I don't know the word for it, disrespectful to the franchise, and how a lot of people would be like, this just disrespects Freddy, and I hate that. I totally get that. But I don't know. It's just good.
Well, that's how I am, but I could definitely understand and appreciate how somebody would enjoy it, on a so bad it's good level, and just laugh at how silly it is. Talk about a fantastic voyage. That's what it says in the back.
I don't share that, but I see that.
Ghoulishly ingenious. It also says great special effects. Oh yeah. Definitely.
You don't love the dream demons?
Yeah.
You don't love the dream demons, the sperm looking thing?
Yeah, that's what they look like. Look at the tagline. They saved the best for last.
Yeah.
Got that right. What a joke.
At least he had a cool line there. Every town has an Elm Street.
Yeah, it was shown in the trailer. That was a cool line. I've still got mine too, Amber. The 3D glasses that came with the Bloody Valentine remake in the theater. Yeah, I still got my 3D glasses from that too.
That's a good remake. I like that one.
I love it. Yeah, I'll be talking about that on the 14th. I'm gonna review both of them. Trash Dash says he likes 6 more than 5. I can see that. Because again, like if you just in the right mindset to laugh at a silly, stupid, ridiculous train wreck and just be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe how bad this is." Yeah, but yeah, to me, they're both really, really bad. I just think that Part 5 has a few more redeeming qualities, but really, I don't really like either one of them. The only ones I really, really love are 1 and 3, and then I like 2 and 4.
Yeah,
I like Freddy vs. Jason, which we'll get to in a minute.
I love all of them except one that we're still yet to get to. But
yeah, oh yeah, well, we're gonna all let that movie have it. I bet.
I don't know how this is gonna make people feel, but Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I like this movie, but I noticed a lot of people would have it as like their number 2 or their favorite, and that's fine. But I don't really watch this one a lot.
Me neither.
I like it. I think it's like well made and all that. You know, Heather Langenkamp now playing herself in addition to Nancy, and Wes Craven also playing himself, and Robert Englund playing Freddy and himself. Because in this movie, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are a movie. I can understand they want to do something different after Freddy's Dead pretty much killed the franchise. And I think it's definitely a huge step up from that one and Part 5. But I never really cared for that concept. Like, again, like I understand they had to do something different, and it is great that Wes Craven directed it, and I do think it's well made, but I think it's a little overrated because, like you said, a lot of times people say this is their second favorite next to the original. Some people even say the original and this one are the only ones worth watching, and all the rest are crap, which I strongly disagree with. And I even see people say this is their number 1 favorite, even over the original, which I'll never understand. But to each their own. I get it. And all the performances are good, the writing good. At least it is scary again. It's kind of a creative concept. I don't like I said, kids in horror movies usually annoy me, and Miko Hughes in this is really, really irritating.
Yes.
I don't like, 2 things I don't like in horror movies is evil little kids and kids where movies where kids know way more than the adults. The adults are always saying, "What's happening now? A 4-year-old boy who knows way more than I do." That irritates the crap out of me. This movie has both, and it's very annoying. And Miko Hughes was great in Pet Sematary, and he was really funny in Kindergarten Cop. What happened here? Here he's just very irritating. And like the fact that Freddy exists in the real world, they don't really explain it. They explain he's like a demon, and he kind of takes the form of Freddy from the movies. Like, he does have a cool look, I don't know about the dark green hat and the trench coat, and but I kind of like the way the glove looks, kind of that skeletal design. It kind of looks like the poster of the first movie. That's what the glove looks like, which is kind of cool. And then his makeup, he is like a lot more serious and a lot scarier. And I guess those kind of was the necessary step after 5 and 6.
I like that part of it.
Yeah, but it's definitely a good movie. It's just not really my cup of tea. Kind of like how, but I can certainly see why. I do think 1 and 3 are way better than this, and I even like 2 and 4 better than this one, and Freddy vs. Jason. But I can definitely see where people would like this a lot.
The problem is the pacing. I think it's very slow paced. I find myself drifting off like every time I try and watch it.
I haven't seen this one much either at all. Just like 5 and 6. I haven't watched this one a whole lot. I've seen it maybe 3 times my whole life.
I can.
It's cool to see, Heather back in the franchise and him getting to go at it with Freddy again is cool. They had a couple cool scenes together, like when he comes out of the closet, "You miss me."
Yeah.
The scene on the traffic, the street, and it's cool seeing Wes Craven in it, playing himself, and it's kind of interesting seeing Robert Englund, like, it's kind of a reaction to, like, Freddy becoming this cult phenomenon, and then Robert Englund's appearing as Freddy on talk shows and stuff. Like, it's very self-aware, and Wes Craven, of course, would take that a step further with Scream a couple years later. This was 94, Scream was in 96, so, the 90s horror kind of was becoming self-aware, and it's kind of like a parody of what came before in the 80s, so it's very interesting. I do think it's technically more well-made than perhaps 2 and 4 and Freddy vs. Jason, but I just like those movies a little better.
Very cool concept, though.
It is very creative. And like I said, I think it was the next necessary step after Freddy's dead. I think that there was kind of nothing else to do.
Yeah, and I will say, they kill the babysitter Julie in this movie, and it's the Tina death again. But this time you see Freddy.
Yeah.
To me, that just takes away from it a little bit. Not seeing Julie and she's just screaming. It's creepier. But hey, Dylan, ever play Skin the Cat?
Yeah. The way they kill him at the end is, I don't know, Freddy transforms into like the more demonic looking form, and then like explodes or whatever. That was kind of a bad effect.
And maybe I'm just slow or something with this movie, but sometimes it's really hard to follow, especially when the movie is writing itself as it's going, and it just kind of gets a little confusing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of cool to see Wes Craven in there and Robert Englund as himself. But I don't know. I just wish maybe they took a little more time with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just doesn't quite get it right,
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, it's one of those movies where I think it is technically very, very well made. It's just not my cup of tea. There's a difference between a movie that's not good and a movie that's just not my thing. This is definitely the latter category. Because I do think it's very, very good for what it is. It's just, I like my Freddy to be, terrorizing people in their dreams and being a little more like fantasy oriented, a little more fictional. This one has kind of a more of a gritty realism vibe. But I do like that they made Freddy scary again. Like I said, it's a huge step up from 5 and 6.
They had to,
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I don't know what I would have done differently. Of course, it was directed by Wes Craven, who wrote and directed the first one and created the Freddy characters. So I can't. I totally understand. And for it is, I think he did a great job. I really have there really isn't really too many flaws I can think of, other than, like I said, just not my thing.
Yeah. Overall,
movie.
I prefer New Nightmare over Freddy's Dead, but it's kind of just you're in a mood or something. Like, even though I prefer this, I still maybe would watch Freddy's Dead just to be in a fun mood or something.
Yeah.
This one, I've explained in my Halloween video. Halloween H2O is a very held high in regard film in the franchise. People love it, but it's not my thing. I don't like H2O. I like this one, but it's still not my cup of tea, but I get why people love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely understand why people like it. And I know a lot of people have said this is their third favorite after 1 and 3. I think those 3 are the technically most well-made, most best written, best directed, best acted, all that. Best storyline, and probably the scariest in a way. But like I said, I do prefer 2 and 4 slightly, even though I know that they probably have more flaws on paper. But I just there's more my cup of tea. I enjoy them more.
Yep.
But
and
still a great movie.
Heather Langenkamp is straight up gorgeous in this movie.
I have that DVD over there, but I noticed if you look at it, that glove he's wearing is not the bone glove in the movie. It's like a golden metal glove.
Yeah,
like a
almost looks
robot
like the
glove.
Terminator's hand, but with knives on it. Yeah, that's what it really looks like. Yeah. It's a cool design. I like the Freddy's look. Just the trench coat and the hat are a little too green, but other than that,
and he wears leather pants in this one and biker boots.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a very different Freddy, for better or for worse.
But I mean, they succeed in making them scarier again, which
that's
you
always
got to give that credit.
Yeah, it's good. It's a very good movie. I just don't like it as much as everybody else does, but I can definitely understand why.
Plus, you realize that it wasn't Robert Englund's fault that he was so bad in the past couple.
Oh yeah. I don't blame him at all. You know, I don't blame him one bit. You know, he's still very fun to watch, even in the worst Freddy movies.
Because he proved it could still be scary here, I think.
Exactly.
You know? Well, do we include Jason?
Most definitely.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a Freddy movie because he's trying to Jason to go scare people of Elm Street.
Yeah, I would say it's more of an Elm Street.
And
it's kind of interesting how they almost make him like the villain, and Jason's almost kind of borders on anti-hero. Like we kind of use him to defeat Freddy. They're even rooting for him. But yeah, I saw this in the theater, and it absolutely blew me away. Like it's definitely flawed. I definitely see like all the faults, but like it was one of the first movies I can think of that was just like solely made for the fans. There were so many clever references and inside jokes, and like, my gosh, seeing them first go into Camp Crystal Lake with the sign and the wooden letters, and then Jason having the burlap sack on his head, just like in part 2, and the flashback of him drowning, and then the flashbacks of Freddy, like as a human before he's still alive, before he's burned alive, and then even clips from the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. That's just awesome. Yeah, I do wish Kane Hodder was Jason instead of King Kurzinger, but it works. It's fine. It's weird how Freddy only kills one person. In the main body of the movie, even though he was like Jason kills way more. This movie has a pretty big body count. There's some awful CGI blood. The lead actress, the final girl, Monica Keena, as Lori. Her performance leaves a lot to be desired, but I've seen her in other stuff and she was good. So maybe it was written that way. I don't know. Maybe she's supposed to be like that. The cast isn't bad. One complaint I often see about this is that the teens, like the kids, the main characters, figure out what's going on way too quickly, but that doesn't bother me because, for one thing, the audience already knows what's going on. We already see Freddy resurrect Jason to spread fear so that he could come back and be more powerful. We already know what's going on. So if they spent too much of the movie with exposition, having the characters figuring it out, like there'd be less time devoted to Freddy and Jason fighting. Like that'd be a bad thing. So I don't mind that they figured out everything too quickly because the audience already knew. So why waste our time, you know? And yeah, some pretty cool dream sequences and kills. Yeah, like I said, some bad CGI and some pretty bad acting. The only thing I really hate is that it would have been this is more of a nitpick. It'd been awesome if we could have saw like maybe somebody from either series return, like Tommy Jarvis or Alice from Nightmare 4 and 5. Lisa Wilcox, not Alice from Friday 1, of course. She's dead, but that's more of a nitpick. Ronnie Yu, I think, did a great job. He also did good with Bride of Chucky, in my opinion. I wish we could have seen him tackle more of the horror icons. Because in my opinion, he did great. He really built up the lore. This one ignored New Nightmare, but it kind of made Freddy scary again, but he was still like joked around a lot. He was funny and scary and dark and serious and had a really awesome look with his sharp teeth and the eyes. The bloodshot eyes with the gray pupils. Yeah,
he gave him like a devilish look there towards the end.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I really like the dark, gloomy sets. And then, seeing Freddy and Jason fight is just awesome. It's just as cool as I would have ever pictured it. I've been wanting this movie to come out for 10 years before it came out. And at the end, Jason Goes to Hell ended with Freddy's glove pulling Jason's mask down to hell. And then they had rumors of this movie being in development for so long. When it finally got here, I think it was well worth the wait. And like, every time I watch it now, I do see some pretty significant flaws, but my younger self, my inner fledgling horror fan or whatever, just will not let me hate this movie. I just still love it. It's still awesome. And like I said, it's got a lot of problems.
It's still awesome when they fight. Yeah. It's just awesome.
It's very
you hear
satisfying.
The metal soundtrack going and the
like Il Nino,
the fire in the background. And
it's just so great. It's very, very entertaining and just I think it's the best of both worlds. I do wish there was a little more lore from the Jason side of things. I wish they could have showed some more like clips from the Friday the 13th movies, but I understand this was a New Line Cinema film overall, so I understand why they couldn't do that.
I thought there was enough, they showed
it was good
Pamela Voorhees there.
Played by a different actress, of course. It wasn't Betsy Palmer, but
yeah.
I like how Freddy transformed into her, and then they fight in the dream world and they fight in the real world. Yeah.
Well,
very fun movie, very fun flick.
I love this film. You know, I was young when this came out, but you know, parents would like, I'd have like a freaking reversible poster, one side Jason, one side Freddy, much like this. You could have either way
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We had the soundtrack, the movie. It was just a fun time to watch this. And I know one of the biggest complaints of this film is the fact that Jason's afraid of water in that scene.
Yeah, I get that.
Now, I know that's a big problem, but maybe it was like since he was in a dream world, it was like a deep subconscious fear of it because of the drowning or something.
Mhm.
The fact that it turned him into a kid, and it was weird. I genuinely don't think I cared about a single one of the human characters in this movie. I came for Freddy and Jason. Everyone else, I don't care about.
Yeah, Will and Lori. I think the only character I kind of liked was what's his name, Mark, the other guy that escaped from the asylum and provided the exposition, but he didn't last long, and he was the only Freddy victim in this movie. I kind of liked him, but aside from him, yeah, most of the human cast, the main characters kind of sucked.
The sound.
Jason's not afraid of water. Anytime some airheaded bimbo went skinny dipping in Crystal Lake, Jason was always the first one in there to go slaughter her ass. So but maybe in the dream world things are different. Maybe Freddy like played upon his fear and just kind of made it worse somehow. I don't know. And then also Ken Kersinger, they wanted an actor to tower over Robert Englund, but like I understand, but like Kane Hodder is still way taller than England. So am I. I tower over Freddy. So there's no reason that Kane Hodder wasn't in it. Like they don't want him to have these expressive puppy dog eyes, which was a weird choice. But I like Ken Kersinger. But it would have been cooler and like better for the fans. I think overall if Kane Hodder had returned.
Plus, this version of Jason is more like almost like a Frankenstein's monster. They're kind of going for. It seemed like
It's kind of a combination of all the best versions of Jason.
It was
kind
different, but I liked it.
Yeah, it really grew on me. I used to have a Freddy and Jason stand-in poster in my old room. I don't have any more. I got all torn up in a move.
Oh, cool.
But I need to get another one. It kind of looks like I'm just standing there with them,
I thought everything looked great. It had a great look to it. You see Jason walking through the fog in the forest. Lots of great nods to both series.
Yeah, I like the rave in the cornfield when he's on fire and like he's just going around, mercilessly.
I know, that's awesome.
Slaughtering people, just butchering so many people at once. He's on fire, and that was a really cool scene.
Like he doesn't give one damn that he's on fire. There's no acknowledgement. He's just like hacking people.
Yeah, the body count is just still piling up, and he's not even phased by it being set aflame.
Yeah, but hey, Kane Hodder did throw Ken Kersinger one time in Friday the 13th Part 8. The guy in the diner, he's like,
yeah,
right. I'm sure he loves that scene too.
Oh yeah, if Ash came in this movie, I'd be like, oh, they're both dead. I mean,
I couldn't wait when this movie came out. I was like, wow, there are like the possibilities are endless. Like, man, Freddy versus Jason. We might see Jason versus Michael or Jason versus Leatherface, like the awesome 3-issue comic miniseries that I have. Or like then Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I was like, wow, I can't wait to see what's in store. But no, I was very disappointed in what we got instead.
Some of the CGI was a little rough though, like some of that early 2000 CGI.
Yeah, some of the blood and like just some of the Freddy caterpillar and then stuff like that looked a little bad. But yeah, other than some of the bad CGI, the fact that Jason's afraid of water, like the fact that it's not Kane Hodder, and then Monica Keena, and then the human characters not being very interesting or fleshed out, and then Freddy only killing one person. Aside from all those things, I think it's very, very solid and really fun nostalgia fest that was made for the fans.
I just have a blast watching it.
Me too. Yeah, it's just very, very entertaining. I just can't hate this movie. Every time I watch it, I see more and more faults, but I'm like, my younger self just will not let me dislike this movie. I remember how blown away I was in the theater. I was so pumped. So like, it was an awesome experience. Because I was a huge fan of both characters for so long, and the idea of them, fighting each other in a crossover movie was just like unfathomable, and like it finally happened, and I think it was very well worth the wait overall, despite its flaws. I think it was a very rewarding experience.
I agree.
I just want to say this because I think it's funny. The pothead character in this movie had to be based off of Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
What is funny is, did you guys ever watch the Never Sleep Again documentary?
No, you've seen it, yeah.
The scene where they're talking about him being like a complete rip-off of him, they actually got the guy that plays Jay Muse, and he's just like, I loved playing this character. Wait, I wasn't in this movie.
Yeah, I think the actor who played that character said the same thing, but like the reverse. He was like, yeah, I love being in Dogma and Jay and Silent Bob and stuff. I was like, oh wait, it wasn't me. Yeah, it's a great documentary.
Good lines though.
Yeah. It's from the same makers as Crystal Lake Memories, who I think did a better job on a Jason documentary than His Name Was Jason, which was a little too short. But yeah, I definitely recommend this documentary. It goes through all the movies, has interviews with the cast, Wes Craven and Heather Langenkamp, who narrates, and of course Robert Englund. Definitely well worth it if you're a fan of the series, because this one,
it's
really does it justice. So check it out.
That goalie's pissed about something.
Yeah. Let me handle this bitch. I like when Freddy possessed him. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool gore. It's pretty cool kills. Of course, the sleeping bag death, and then that stoner character getting cut in half. And then the impaling during the
bed scene when he snaps the guy in half.
Yeah, that was awesome.
If I could add one thing, I do think one of my issues is that people apparently have like the ability to fly in this movie, because every time Jason hits someone, they go 80 yards.
Fly across.
Right? There's a couple of goofy parts where like Jason bounces off the wall and shit.
Yeah, and it even has like the sound effects sound like a ping pong ball machine or something. A pinball machine, not ping pong. Sounds like a pinball machine sound effects.
Yeah, this movie's an absolute blast. It's a bloody gore fest.
The
especially towards the end where they're really hacking the shit out of each other.
Yeah. I hate that Laurie's the one that like kind of defeats Freddy. Is like, man, I just wanted the human characters just go away and just let Jason and Freddy fight. Like, they could be there providing commentary or narration or like, just talking about it, but like, don't have them involved in the fight. We've already seen way too much of them, and then all of a sudden she's all badass. I will not rest until I see him die. And like, oh man, just get out of here. Let Jason do it, honey, please.
She'd probably be my pick for worst final girl of the series.
She's very up there.
Yeah. And I think, both, Ronnie, you directed this, and both Bride of Chucky and this both have soundtracks. This having like Kill Switch Engaged and like Devil
Omino.
Yeah. Every time there's a fight scene with them and the metal kicks, and I'm like, and then it'll cut to the human characters talking. I'm like, shut up, go back.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, I think Bride of Chucky does have the best soundtrack in a horror movie ever, quite possibly. And but yeah, this one's great too, most definitely.
Yep, and unfortunately, this last one is the one that I hate, the remake.
Oh boy.
Nope.
I didn't even buy it.
You did the smart thing.
I refuse to buy it.
I saw this in theaters in 2010. I absolutely hated it. All right, so
me too.
Okay, so things I do like about it. Okay, I like Clancy Brown. I'm a huge fan of that actor. He's not really in it very much, but sure. I don't think Jackie Earle Haley was a terrible choice for Freddy. Of course, no one's ever going to live up to Robert Englund. I mean, that's just like silly talk. But like, I understand they had to get another actor to avoid confusion or whatever. I would have rather just got Englund, but whatever. So yeah, Jackie Earle Haley, I like him. He's great as Rorschach, and I've been a fan of him ever since the movie Doll Man, from the early 90s from Full Moon Pictures. And I'm really glad that he became a huge star. And yeah, Rorschach and Watchmen was awesome. Yeah, I don't think he was terrible as Freddy, but man, this movie just could not make up its mind on what it wanted to do. It wasn't mysterious or shadowy. Like, Freddy was shown on screen really early, and then this is just one of those remakes. It's just a soulless cash-in. Like, they just had a checklist, like, so by the numbers.
Without a
So,
doubt.
okay, remember when Freddy came out of the wall in the 1984 masterpiece original? It looked really awesome. Yeah, let's put that here, but CGI. Okay, we did it. It looked like crap. We
It looks worse.
Yeah, and then like the body being dragged in the hallway, one of the creepiest and most awesome scenes in the original. Here it's like a split second, like they're not even asleep. They just fall asleep briefly and see it, and then that's it. Everything was so half-assed. The CGI was horrendous. Freddy's backstory, this one leaves no doubt. Like, it's kind of suggesting the other movies that he might also molest his the child victims that he kills. This movie pretty much leaves no doubt. He's a full-blown pedophile in this.
Yeah.
The main character, like, I've seen Rooney Mara in other movies, and she's a great actress. I don't know what happened here. She was just boring. The main characters were boring. I only watched this once at the theater, and then I tried to watch it again when I got the DVD. I just absolutely hate it. This is, when it comes to remakes and the Nightmare on Elm Street series in general, like, this is just the bottom of the barrel. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I hate it. It has no redeeming qualities. It's flat out sucks. I hate this piece of crap.
And look, here's what I hate, is the fact that the defeat of Freddy in this movie is literally the Freddy versus Jason ending. She has the thing, welcome to my world, bitch, and slices his throat.
Yeah.
It just happened in Freddy versus Jason. And not to mention, Rooney Mara, being Nancy's my favorite, it just felt so wrong to see the character sleepwalk through this entire movie, and this movie's lifeless.
And they redo a lot of the scenes from the original, and I didn't like that. He liked the shower scene, the bathtub scene.
I'd rather watch Freddy's Dead any day over this piece of crap. And yeah, I don't like Freddy's makeup. It looks like
a burnt squirrel.
Never said.
It's
yeah, it
weird.
looks like a Siamese cow with a piece of melted cheese on his face. Like, what the hell?
And sometimes it's CGI, like the face.
Yeah.
And then like, they couldn't make up their mind. Like they try to make him serious and scared, but then other times they make him really jokey. It's like they didn't know which one to do, so they kind of like combined them both in a very half-assed, very by the numbers, very uninspired way. It's just the very definition of generic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will say this. When I saw this back when it came out, they played with an idea in the movie that I know probably still would have split people, but it would have been different, is the fact that in this movie, they almost make it seem like Freddy was innocent. And like, he never did those things, but they killed him and he's coming back for revenge. I think if they were going to change it, that would have been cool. It wouldn't have been straight up copying the original. But then he finds out that he did it and he's still a piece of shit.
Yeah. Because I heard about that. There was a rumor when the movie, like before the movie came out, and I was like, okay, like I didn't like it at first, but I was like, okay, that might be something different. But the only bad thing was I don't really want to sympathize for Freddy or root for him, like in a movie that wipes the slate clean. Of course, Freddy's my favorite character in the other sequels. But this is starting from something different. I was like, I don't want to root for him quite yet. But then making him a pedophile, no, I was rooting against him the whole way. Like I just wanted to see him just be destroyed. And I don't even remember how they kill him in this one. It's that forgettable. And yeah,
for Freddy, way he slits his throat and says, "Welcome to my world."
Yeah, I knew it was something disappointing. Yeah, everybody's performance, they just phone it in and like just like you said, sleepwalk through it, and just everybody's just, this is a very dull, lifeless movie. It's the very definition of a cash in, and it just made it like a cheap buck. There's no passion behind it whatsoever.
Yeah, and I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, he was intended to be a pedo in the original, but they just made him a killer instead. But still, he was just a killer.
Yeah, you don't know for sure that he was.
It's implied, but never fully.
But this one leaves no doubt. And then also, another thing that doesn't make any sense is like, I don't really mind the fact that he actually did have a history with these very kids. It wasn't like he killed some kids and then parents, killed him for revenge because of the kids that he had murdered. And this one, like, he actually attacked the kids, and then it's them grown up. That's not a bad idea. But in this movie, they don't remember each other from preschool. Like, I have a really good memory, sure, but like, I know some people don't remember their preschool, but like, I feel like they remember something like that, a traumatic experience like that, and also like, it wouldn't be so shocking if they saw a picture of them in preschool and say, "I went to preschool with him and him and him," and like nobody remembers their past. Like, why? And then the fact that he was a gardener and then like like terrorize the kids again. It seems like there's a few good ideas there somewhere hidden in this movie, but like they just like turned them down in favor of this forgettable dreck.
It seemed like they're trying to make him more like a human character, like
Right.
like what the Halloween remake did, trying to make Michael more like a real life kind of serial killer. Like
overall, I think if I had to say one good thing about this movie, well, I'll say two good things. One, yes, Jackie Earle Haley isn't bad as Freddy. I think it's just the material he did. Two,
Yeah.
I don't blame him. He's a great actor.
The micro nap, the fact that they've stayed awake so long that they're kind of going in and out of a dream. And like she's like in the pharmacy, and you see Freddy like popping in and out of reality. I thought that was pretty cool. But just nothing in this movie. They took away all suspense and it's just a jump scare fest. And none of the jump scares got me at all.
No, it wasn't scary. I thought it was a snooze fest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was scary. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was entertaining. It just bored me and pissed me off.
It sucks.
It's crap. It's the bottom of the barrel. It's the worst movie it's the worst Freddy movie by far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jackson Knight. Which one of you guys has like encyclopedic knowledge of the '70s Incredible Hulk?
This guy up here.
Yeah. But also Dark Wolf, who I did the videos with the Video Graveyard. Yeah, he knows even more about that show than I do. I know about the comic more than he does, but he knows more about the show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Because I still don't own the complete series on DVD, but it's on my wish list.
I still enjoy that show, though. I really enjoy it.
I love it. It's very different from the comic. They even renamed him David Banner instead of Bruce Banner. I do wish that there was other villains. I wish that the leader was in it. I wish they could have somehow done Abomination and Zax and like maybe have Doc Samson too and Thunderbolt Ross and Betty Ross. But it's very different than the comics. But it's a very cool show. It's very nostalgic for me.
I like him being. I like the idea of him being like a drifter who was kind of moving on.
Yeah, it's a cool idea
along the way. And
yeah, because he did that in the comic too. He just went from different towns, and of course Thunderbolt Ross, followed him, and then of course he would, Bruce Banner would end up with Betty from time to time, because she begged her dad not to, destroy him because that's, she's in love with him. With Bruce Banner returns of the Hulk and causes all kinds of destruction.
You gotta love that classic scene too, where he's changing the tire in the rain and turns and flips the car down.
That is classic.
So cool.
Well,
yeah, I guess we should
go to video.
Cannibal Corpse, right?
It's about time for the Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, I love that.
Without a doubt, the most recognizable song.
Definitely. That's the one that was in Ace Ventura, of course.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me get situated.
I don't think I'm that far off with saying that Cannibal Corpse might be the most popular death metal band.
Definitely.
Like, death metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to be the most well-known for sure.
They're like what you think of automatically when you think death metal. Like, I don't know. That's like the typical, like, what you think,
Yep.
The blast beats constantly and the
Yeah,
vocals and the...
Yeah, they're the ones that got me into death metal. I didn't even know what death metal was. I just knew that there's that one band that's really, really heavy and like has really graphic, gruesome, gory lyrics, and and I was like, I'd see it in the CD store and like I'd listen and say, man, I'm not ready for this yet, because I was just getting into like thrash metal and stuff like that. I was still, I was just getting into Metallica and Slayer and Exodus. I was like, I'm not ready for this yet, but I didn't even know it was a whole genre. And then of course, Cannibal was my gateway band. Then I got into Death and Morbid Angel and Obituary and Autopsy and Possessed and all that. Carcass.
Yes.
Fun enough, this is the third discography in a row for me. We've done Death, Carcass, and now Cannibal Corpse, where this is yet another band that doesn't have a unlistenable, truly horrible album.
No.
I agree.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a bad one, never mind a really bad one. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Not one that's bad.
I mean, with this many albums, there's always going to be some that are better than others, but to be that consistent and not have a stinker, pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially when you have 15 albums or whatever. Like there's not a lot of bands that have that many albums. Like Rush has like 20 albums probably, but you can say there's some bad ones. Like
I think Black Sabbath has like 19 albums, right? In total.
I believe so. Yeah, 13 was actually their 19th. Death Metal Elitist. What's up, man? You're right just in time for Cannibal Corpse. And yeah, his display picture is Tomb of the Mutilated. Yeah, Eaten Back to Life, their 1990 debut album. This is the first death metal album I ever heard. And this is the one that got me into death metal. It's the one that started it all. And I started discovering all those other bands. Yeah, Sean and I agreed earlier. We probably shouldn't. There's probably quite a few of the song titles that we shouldn't say out loud. Like we censor them because, as you know, the whole point of me starting this channel was, I just want to be a positive role model for children like Captain Kangaroo and Fred Rogers. Morbid Hour, this could be shown on PBS. Hellhound's Late Night Spook Show. This could be right up there with Bozo the Clown's Happy Fun Hour. So. But yeah, we'll do our best because these are
this one's pretty safe though.
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the lineup of course was Chris Barnes on vocals, Bob Rousset and Jack Owen on guitar, Alex Webster I think is the best death metal bassist by far. Yeah, his bass lines are just phenomenal, and then of course Paul Mazurkiewicz on drums. So yeah, Chris Barnes could do those low gutturals like nobody else. He's second to none. The only person that comes close, in my opinion, is Bill Steer on those early Carcass albums.
Yeah.
And along with Chuck Schuldiner and Jeff Becerra and a few others, he kind of pioneered those type of vocals. He's one of the first to start really doing it and making it even heavier. And was very important to the death metal genre. So they were very innovative for that. And some of my favorite riffs and solos were from the Barnes era and from this album. Yeah, it opens with Shredded Humans, which details a really graphic, really horrific car wreck that really reminds me of Final Destination 2, like that scene in the car pull up on the highway. I think it'd be cool if somebody make a music video of like clips from that scene in Final Destination 2 and like have it set to Shredded Humans from this album. Though for some reason, I think Shredded Humans, the lyrics are far more grotesque than anything in the Final Destination movies or most horror movies in general. But yeah, very awesome opening riff. I love that drum beat. Then of course Chris Barnes guttural growls coming in. Then of course there's Edible Autopsy, Put Them to Death, Mangled, Scattered Remains, Splattered Brains, Born in a Casket, which is another favorite of mine. I love that song. I also love Buried in the Backyard, which is the closing track.
Scattered Remains, Splattered Brains.
Yes.
This is a great album. You could hear a little bit of thrash in there too. It has more of a thrashy death metal sound to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got that raw feel, like a lot of the early Death and the
for sure. Yeah,
early Slayer and stuff.
and the production is a little more like kind of primitive sounding, but in a good way. It definitely adds to it.
But those vocals make it
yeah,
okay,
make it
something
unique.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, there they are. Yeah, Chris Barnes. This is the only album in the Barnes era where the lyrics were co-written with somebody else, like Jack Owen and Alex Webster and Paul Mazurkiewicz helped write some of the lyrics, but it's mostly Chris. Like his name is on all of them. Like he pinned all of them. He's a very disturbed, very sick dude, because his lyrics are far more gruesome than anything from from the George Fisher era. But yeah, like I said, some of my favorite riffs and solos. Some of my favorite bass lines. Alex Webster's a beast. Chris Barnes, some of his best gutturals were on this album. Yeah, I do think that that they were like more creative with their riffs, like during the Barnes era, and I do like that early raw sound, like you said, and how it kind of had more of a thrash metal influence. And awesome artwork too, as always. Like their artwork and their lyrics are much more sick than anything you see in a horror movie.
Of course, Skull Full of Maggots. That's a classic.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, a lot of people say that Paul Mazurkiewicz is a very, very generic drummer. Like they say, a lot of his drum beats sound the same, just kind of sped up, like different speeds. I don't agree. Like I think it perfectly fits. Yeah, I could probably can't think of some more drummers that like have a more technical skill, like Pete Sandoval or Gene Hoglan, when it comes to death metal. But I like Paul Mazurkiewicz. I couldn't picture them with any other drummer. Like I think the beats are perfect. Like they fit in perfectly. And I never listen to a Cannibal Corpse song and say, "Oh, I don't like this because of the drums." So I don't understand. Like maybe just elitist drummers are like saying that, because I think it all meshes together perfectly. And the musicianship is awesome. And this album's a testament to that. Great debut, off to a terrific start.
Yeah, great debut,
masterpiece.
I think I really like Chris Barnes' vocals on this one. You could tell by the next album, especially the next, is when he really dropped down to the.
He's just getting it started with this. He wasn't a full blown Chris Barnes. Like,
I think my favorite song on this would probably be. It's a tough one, but I think I'd go with Edible Autopsy. I just really like that one.
Nice.
But yeah, a great debut. Definitely one of my personal favorites.
But yeah, Shredded Humans, a great opener.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it introduces the album perfectly, and then just grabs you by the balls and never lets up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys will agree, but I think Cannibal Corpse has some of the best riffs of all death metal.
Yes.
Some of them make you want to run through a wall and just get up and say, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Very shocking, very brutal, very venomous, and just very, very heavy. And they've always had great guitarists. I don't really know why they kicked Bob Rouse out. I know they explained it in the documentary a little bit, but I thought he was great. I like his solos, and I guess they said he wasn't progressing with the rest of the band, but yeah, whatever. I think he was great. And then Pat O'Brien and Jack Owen in particular are my two favorite guitarists they've ever had, and they didn't do enough albums together. We'll get to that in due time. But yeah, Rob Barrett was great too. Now they have Eric Rutan, who's no stranger in death metal. He of course played for Morbid Angel before, and like Hate Eternal and Ripping Corpse. He's a producer too, and a great guitarist in his own right. So
yeah.
So look forward to seeing what more they have to do with him. But
he produced a lot of their albums.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's produced a lot of my favorite metal albums.
There's one thing they do that like nobody else does as well, I think, is like Hellhound was saying with the riffs. It's like like nobody else does that like that, you know?
Yeah. I like when there's like a really heavy like riff that's like and then it kind of like starts out kind of melodic, then it kind of gets faster, and then all the music stops, and we hear one of Alex Webster's groovy bass lines, and then everything just jumps in at the same time. The drums, the vocals, the guitar, and it's all just like furious and fast as hell, and just like it's just like a sledgehammer just hitting your skull, and just so friggin' aggressive.
And you always hear his bass too. It supports it so well, you know, like
yeah, exactly.
It's not drowned out or anything. You hear it like
it's
in
very
your face,
decipherable.
like,
Yeah, I don't like when the bass is drowned out in the mix and you can't hear it. I love that Cannibal Corpse, you can actually hear the bass.
definitely. Well, you want to talk about it? Phenomenal follow-up.
Butchered Earth.
Butchered at Birth. Wow, that is really
That's the sickest album cover ever.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, some of these song titles, like wow, like Meat Hook, Sodomy, Gutted, Living Dissection, Under the Rotted Flesh, Covered with Swords, I think has my favorite riff on the album. Dun, 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 dun. That's awesome. Chris Barnes' vocals are even more low and gutturable and indecipherable than they were on the debut.
Brutal as hell.
Yeah, very heavy. Yeah, of course, the title track, Rancid Amputation, Innards Decay. It's got like progressively sicker. Like they always try to find ways to shock people. Now, but
it's
Chris Barnes wrote all the lyrics with no help. He didn't have any. Nobody co-wrote the lyrics with him. He did it all, and he's a genius when it comes to like, really sick, really depraved horror movie-esque stuff.
Yeah, I think I heard somewhere that it might have been on Vomit the Soul that Glenn Benton did backing vocals for it.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Glenn Benton from Deicide. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
I love Deicide too, and just his vocals along with Barnes is just.
This one just beats your brains in like living dissection. Under the rotted flesh, cutting off the body's head.
Yeah, I agree. Bob's riffs were a little more like technically sloppy and like I guess not as like technical and like structured, but I think it fits perfectly. Like Death Metal Leader says, it made it more brutal sounding, and I think it just fits like a glove. Sometimes like things like that work to their advantage,
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have replaced him if I was in the band, but whatever. Maybe there's some things going on that.
This one's way better produced to like much better sound, like much more polished.
Yeah, it's less raw and primal sounding than the first one.
But yet you can barely understand what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, if you hear some of his stuff with Tyrant Sin, I believe was his band he was in before Cannibal. I think it was Tyrant Sin, because there's Leviathan too. Like there were kind of two bands that kind of merged together. Some of the members from Leviathan, some from Tyrant Sin. I can't remember which one Chris Barnes was with, but he actually kind of had a more like a raspy shriek, like a kind of more thrash metal voice. He kind of sounded like a Schmier from Destruction or Tom Angel Ripper from Sodom or something like that. Or even Millie Petroza from Creator. But then, when he joined Cannibal, or they formed Cannibal, I should say, he was a lot more low and gutturals and more like growls and way less clear.
Yeah, he was in Tyrant Sin and then went to Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, Tyrant Sin, that's what I thought.
See.
I love this album. It's such a fun time because, like I said, Morbid Angel was the first death metal band I heard, and I could understand David Vincent, confront me, unholy ones. This, I legit say, what the f- is he saying? He's like,
but it sounds awesome. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It just sounds so sick and like, I don't know.
Yeah, Chris was from Leviathan. That's what I thought. I knew it was, because Tyrant Sin and Leviathan.
It sounds like a monster or something, like a.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like an inhuman, pissed off, howling demon.
Doesn't sound like a human. It sounds like some kind of monster or something.
Very sinister. Well, I watched an interview with Chris Barnes, and like he idolized singers like Rob Halford and Bruce Dickinson and Dio, and he's like, well, I'll never be able to sing like that. So he kind of looked at it as the vocals were just like another instrument, like he didn't want to hit high notes or, stuff like that. But it definitely works for death metal.
But every song, I love every song in this movie. Is awesome, and this album is awesome. Like, there's not a bad song on there.
Agreed.
Gut is great. Rancid Amputation.
Yeah, Gutted is one of the faster, like more like furious songs on the album. It just never lets up. It's just so brutal. And rapid fire, ravenous drum beats, guitar riffs.
It kicks ass. So this one's my personal favorite.
Yeah. Butcher to Birth is?
Yeah.
Good choice. And so next we have probably their most well-known album, Tomb of the Mutilated. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one where I think I probably shouldn't say the song titles out loud, except for the album opener and their most well-known song, of course, Heather Smash Bass, which is on Ace Ventura and has an awesome riff.
You could say Beyond the Cemetery.
Yeah, Beyond Cemetery, and maybe the Cryptic Stench and Split Wide Open. But yeah, some of the other song titles are a little too R-rated or maybe even X-rated.
Yeah.
Like I said, the show needs to be on PBS, so I got to keep it clean.
Yeah, these days with Corpse Grinder, that their classic song. Let's bleep it out. I blank blood. Neil, he does 100 miles an hour.
He does a great job on the Barnes era songs, I think.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah, they're starting to get this a little more technical and like but it works, and it has even better production once again. And I love Alex Webster's bass lines again, and some of the most creative riffs. I think some of my favorite Cannibal riffs of all time are on this album. Like, of course, Hammer Smash Bass, and then a couple of the songs that I guess I won't say out loud. Some awesome, really bizarre, really furious, really aggressive solos that hit you really hard and just make you want to headbang uncontrollably. Very, very, very awesome stuff. Yeah, the lyrics, of course, are even more shocking and even more horrific and just totally tasteless and just very, very vile. Like,
talk about over the top. This is the most over the top album, I would say.
Very excessive. Yeah, these song titles alone would give any elderly person like a heart attack, probably.
Speaking of the Beyond the Cemetery, I love the part where you can hear his voice on one side and then the other side. It's like,
yeah, coming out different speakers. Yeah, especially if you listen to him. It's always really cool.
Yep, and
great song.
Even though Hammer Smash Bass is their most played song, I still don't think that song is overrated in the slightest.
I agree.
It's still
love it.
Awesome. How do you not like that?
Exactly. I'm still not sick of it. I still think it's great.
The Cryptic Stench. That's another good one.
Really?
Stench is great.
Is that the one? I think it's Addicted to Blah Blah Skin. Where they play a sound clip from Ed Gein, right?
I took that knife and
Yeah. That's sick.
I think every song should open with that clip from Ed Gein, like even every Britney Spears song, like just open.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of Slayer with Dead Skin Mask when in the song you hear like "Hello, Miss King."
Yeah. Because that was based on Ed Gein too.
Get out.
Yeah.
This is the Mutilate, just absolutely brutal.
It was the last album to feature guitarist Bob Rousset. And like I said, the documentary "Centuries of Torment" go into more detail about why he was replaced with Rob Barrett, who I think is also very, very, very skilled.
It's quite difficult for me to choose a favorite. Like between the first 4 albums, especially like the Bleeding and Tomb, and they all kind of are my favorites on different days.
I agree. Yeah, I can't really. I always considered Tomb of the Mutilated my favorite. Then I'll listen to the others. Like I listen to Shredded Humans off the debut, and then I'll listen to like, Stripped, Raked, and Strangled from the Bleeding. And I'm just like, man, like all these songs are so awesome. Like it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite because I consider them almost equal.
There's a few classic songs on like every one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But so next, their 4th album, and the first to feature guitarist Rob Barrett replacing Bob Rouse, is The Bleeding. It was their final album with Chris Barnes, and I think it's also one of their best. I love Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead. Those are really creepy music video too, and really creepy lyrics about somebody on the operating table and they're dead and being dissected. It's an autopsy, but like they see it all, they witness it all. Like it's a really horrifying thought, and the lyrics really paint a vivid picture. Then of course there's the classic "F with a Knife," which has another one of my favorite riffs and some of my favorite Chris Barnes vocals. And then of course Stripped, Raked, and Strangled.
Sick.
Which they think they know who I am. All they know is I love to kill. Long, just classic. The Polarized, Return to Flash, the Pickaxe Murders. She was asking for it. The Bleeding, Force-Fed Broken Glass, and Experiment in Homicide. So I didn't have to censor these track titles as much as the last 2, but
it's a great album.
The lyrics are still very, very, very sick and very graphic. Yeah. Wow, yeah, this would.
I think it was the Pickaxe Murders.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Sex with a severed head.
That's a really cool, a really heavy, visceral riff.
That's a dark one too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's weird how you can decipher what he's saying in this one. It looks like it's more clear or something. Like,
he's a lot more clear. You can hear all the words, like especially in Stripped, Raked, and Strangled, and then most of F with a Knife. You can really tell what he's saying. It's a lot clearer. And it was kind of a prelude to some of the things that were going to come in 6 Feet Under, which I do like a couple of that band's albums. I like Haunted and Warpath and Maximum Violence, but everything after that's really, really downhill. Those Graveyard Classics albums where they butcher all those, with their covers, all those classic songs are just terrible. And I heard some of his vocals on one of their newest albums. It was just laughably bad. Chris Barnes, his voice has just really declined and really gone downhill and just atrocious.
It has,
yeah, he cannot do those vocals anymore. I don't know if it's just from doing it for so long or from smoking too much pot or what, but it just does not sound as good as it did with his first 4 albums from Cannibal, which were all awesome.
I heard how long can you sing like that though?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, after a while it's going to wear on your throat.
But I heard the newest album from 6 Feet Under, and this was my first time hearing Chris's newer voice, and it put me in shock because it was just more like
Cookie Monster. He's Cookie Monster now. That's all it is. It's like, man, what a step down. What a departure. Because the first 4 Cannibal albums, he was awesome, but now it just sounds terrible,
It's a shame.
Yeah. But it's a great album. But I think that I love Chris Barnes stuff with Cannibal. I think replacing him was probably the right thing to do at the time. If you watch the documentary, they go into more detail, and then of course like I said, his vocals are just getting less and less and just diminish significantly pretty quickly. So I don't think that they could have.
But I don't think on this album they were.
No, definitely not.
Sounds pretty damn good.
No, yeah, he sounds great on this album. But I'm just saying, like, looking back, I am glad that they replaced him because he can't do it anymore.
That's the thing,
but it's like what happened on the next one, like
I don't know.
Like when a popular band member gets replaced, there's always going to be a split with people. And for me, with this next album, Vile, right? Is Vile next?
Yes, the first with Fisher.
Yeah, so they bring in Corpse Grinder, and there's always the people like, "Oh, Chris is better. No, you're wrong. No, Corpse Grinder's better. No, you're wrong." I like them both. I think
I
they
like
both.
Yeah, I think they're both just as important to Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, it's like a Steve Tucker and David Vincent thing. I think they both fit well in Morbid.
Yeah,
that's a good comparison.
They're both on great albums. They're both on bad albums. You know, Morbid Angel. I mean, not Cannibal. But yeah, so yeah, they sacked Chris Barnes, and then they recorded a few songs that were going to be on this album. It was originally called "Created to Kill," and you can find them on YouTube. And I'm not a huge fan of the way it was sounding, so I think getting somebody else was the right choice. So he was replaced with George Corpse Grinder Fisher, who's a huge World of Warcraft fan. He doesn't write any of the lyrics. He's co-written maybe 3 or 4 songs the whole time he's been in the band.
I thought he did on the first one, though.
He co-wrote a couple of them. Yeah, he co-wrote a couple, but it's mostly Alex Webster and Paul Mazurkiewicz and Jack Owen and Rob Barrett doing the lyrics now. And yeah, Chris Fisher did those Chris Barnes did those low gutturals really, really well. And those growls, he got lower than anybody. But I do think George Fisher, I like him slightly better overall if I had to pick, because he is more decipherable and more clear. And I think he has better control. Whereas Chris Barnes has gotten worse and worse. George Fisher's only gotten better and better. He's improved his craft. And weirdly enough, this is actually my least favorite George Fisher vocal performance in all of Cannibal Corpse's albums. Not bad, but just not as good as what came later. The scream at the beginning of "Devoured by Vermin," which is the opening track, is awesome. But other than that, I didn't think he really found his style until later albums.
That's probably what it is. He hadn't gotten used to.
Yeah, but he has really good control when it comes to his high pitched screams. It's more of a a screech that sounds awesome. It's more of a when Chris Barnes did it was more like it's just like a raspy hiss, which is cool. But I think that George Fisher just sounds like he's kind of improved his craft. Just sounds more technical. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. I like both pretty much equally. But if I had to look at them objectively, just the vocals alone and not the songs or the riffs, I do prefer George Fisher by a hair. And he actually is my favorite death metal vocalist. But I don't think that those first 4 albums, I can't picture anybody other than Barnes doing them. But I do think getting Corpse Grinder was the right thing at the time. Yeah, this has got some great tracks. Yeah, Devoured by Vermin, Mummified and Barbed Wire, Perverse Suffering, Disfigured, Bloodlands, Puncture Wound Massacre, Eaten from Inside.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
I think they couldn't have found a better guy to replace him.
I agree. And they both had a different stage presence too. Chris Barnes would kind of have his hair in his face, and he'd be headbanging, and whenever you'd see his face, his eyes would be going back into his head, which is really cool looking, really inhuman and really creepy. But George Fisher, of course, does the windmill thing, and all of them have neck issues and all these the doctor says that have you guys been in a car accident? No, it's just from rocking and abusing their bodies to put on a great show.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, very good.
George has a huge ass neck, man. You see his neck.
Oh yeah, and it didn't used to look like that. It's from all those windmills. Yeah, his it's just his neck keeps going up. His head is just part of his neck. The man is just all neck at this point.
Yeah,
it's from all those windmills and those headbanging, which he's great at. It looks so badass when there's a really heavy Paul Mazurkiewicz drum beat, a really heavy venomous riff, and they're all just doing the windmill. It's just such an awesome visual. They have great stage presence.
If you look at him in Monstrosity, his neck was not as big yet.
Yeah.
The Corpse Grinder is awesome. If you watch him live or in music videos, he looks so brutal. But I just watched a video not that long ago of him shopping at Target. And he's just I love shopping at Target, man. It's great.
Yeah, I saw those too. That's hilarious. He seems like a really cool guy. He's very down to earth. He's really nice to his fans, and he loves World of Warcraft, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan myself. I spent so many hours playing that in my youth. He doesn't write the lyrics, but he seems really, really in touch with his fans. And I like to watch him in interviews and stuff. And like I said, his vocals are just phenomenal.
I think he does it the best. I think he's really improved his craft, and like he has more material with Cannibal at this point than Barnes does, obviously. And I think it's only gotten better and better, pretty much for the most part.
I agree. He's gotten better and better over the
Yeah,
years.
yeah, he's awesome. He's a great death metal voice.
Sure.
So after Vile, their next one was Gallery of Suicide, I believe. I actually don't own that album. I mean to get it. But yeah, it's not bad. I think it's maybe a little better than Vile. I don't know. I kind of consider them even. Of course, it does have Sentence to Burn, which is a good song.
Yeah.
And, Disposal of the Body is good. And then the title track, of course. And then
Headless.
yeah, Headless and Stabbed in the Throat. So yeah, some pretty
Centuries
cool
of Torment.
tracks. Yes, yes.
I think this is where they brought in Pat O'Brien, right? This album.
Yes. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So yeah, Rob Barrett was only on The Bleeding and Vile thus far, but then he left and was replaced by Pat O'Brien. That's such my favorite lineup when they had Jack Owen and Pat O'Brien. Like I said, some of my favorite riffs were during the Barnes era, but like on a technical level, I do think that like when it comes to like actual playing skill, I do think Pat O'Brien and Jack Owen had a really awesome dual lead dynamic. That twin guitar axe attack was just phenomenal. And I think Jack Owen was kind of playing like doing kind of more of the rhythm. Because yeah, Pat O'Brien just like really, really like skilled. His playing style just immaculate. Like wow. And yeah, like I just love I love what they had going on. Just awesome. And then they were starting to get a little more technical and like but they didn't they didn't let up on aggression because Gallery of Suicide definitely packs a punch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, some great tracks, some great solos and riffs, and George Fisher was even better with his vocals than he was in Vile.
Yep.
That high pitched riffing, like in the song "Blood Drenched Execution."
Mm-hmm.
Just second to none.
Yeah, I wrote down every album and then wrote down my favorite songs from the album. So got a lot on here.
Me too.
But yeah, not a bad album. And then in '99 they did Bloodthirst, which I think was pretty good, honestly. I don't remember too much about it though.
Bloodthirst.
That had a couple good ones, but it's not one of the more memorable ones.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fisher sounded just a little better. He always got a little bit better and better. And they were still pretty fresh and innovative, for the time. And like they did kind of bring a new level of complexity, and like the riffs were a little more syncopated and like I said, more technical. But like it didn't they still had like plenty of the dark, brutal atmosphere and the feel. Like they didn't like it was kind of like they were trying to prove their craft, but they still stayed true to their roots. It wasn't like they were trying to, sell out like or anything. But like I said, I think that doesn't have quite as many great tracks as like some of the later Fisher albums. And I don't own Bloodthirst either.
I think the Hacksaw Decapitation probably my favorite. That's one they do live a lot.
Yeah. There's Pounded into Dust, Spine Splitter, Human Collection, Coffin Feeder, Blowtorch Slayer.
The Spine Splitter. Dead Human Collection.
Yeah. Overall, this was just one of those albums in their discography where I wouldn't say it's completely forgettable because there's some good songs, but it's one that I'm not remembering as much. It's just kind of
It doesn't stand out like some of the others.
Yeah. Still definitely some pummeling death metal goodness, but like I said, it's not as, like you said, Sean, it's not as memorable as some of this stuff. And it is fairly technical, but still, conventional Cannibal Corpse.
Mhm.
I think the next one's probably one of the better ones with
Cool.
George
Yes.
Fisher.
Yeah, this
Nasty
probably
one.
is my favorite of the George Fisher era. I love this
Yeah.
album. Yeah, so much to where I had to get the vinyl as well. And
Nice.
yeah, spinning this in my record player is quite an
Sick cover.
experience. Yeah, my family loves it when I play this album and it shakes, vibrates all the walls. They can't get enough of it, especially when she's doing the dishes upstairs and she gets to do it to the rhythm of the drum. Paul Mazurkowicz's drum beats. Yeah, this was also fairly technical, but like it added a certain complexity and like and somehow was like even like kind of more brutal and like still about the same amount of heaviness, but like I don't know, more polished production, but like very, very savage sounding, just like the opening track, Savage Butchery. And of course, Hatchet to the Head, Hatchet to the Head. This is probably my favorite George Fisher vocal performance. Yeah, and then of course, yeah, they still had Jack Owen and Pat O'Brien. This is my favorite Cannibal lineup once again.
Solid lineup, yeah.
And probably my favorite George Fisher era Cannibal Corpse song is Pit of Zombies, which is on this one. I love it. Capture that priest of evil. Yeah, Pit of Zombies. It's just, it's so brutal. It just gets me pumped every time. I love driving around listening to it and just like, trying hard not to headbang because I'm trying to watch where I'm going. But it's quite an experience, especially at nighttime. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And then, of course, Dormant Bodies Bursting, Compelled to Lacerate, Sanded Faceless, Mutation of the Cadaver, and my second favorite song, When Death Replaces Life. That was kind of more,
yeah.
It wasn't really graphic and gory. It didn't really sound like a over-the-top, like, violent horror movie. It's kind of more, it had like a kind of a more like bashing religion, like which is another like prominent death metal theme, like kind of an anti-Christian thing going on, kind of like akin to Slayer or Morbid Angel. And I think that Paul Mazurkowicz wrote those lyrics, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's mostly Paul and Alex that pinned the lyrics from now on. And then sometimes Rob. Pat O'Brien never did the lyrics, but some of my favorite riffs, some of my favorite Cannibal Corpse music was written by Pat O'Brien. Because I thought him and Jack Owen were an awesome team on guitar. Okay, no, Death Replaces Life was written by Jack Owen. Okay, yeah, he was writing some of the lyrics too, and yeah, some of the songs where he wrote the lyrics and the music are some of my favorites from Cannibal, which is even more evident on the next album, which I'll get to in a minute. Yeah, it's a great song, smashing the human heart, crossing religious filth. And of course, Grotesque was solely written by Alex Webster, which was the follow-up. That's what I got it confused with. That's another great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, love this lineup. I kind of wish they could have done more together. Great album, and probably my favorite from the Fisher era, like I said.
Nice. Horror fan, how'd you like this one?
I liked it a lot. I think that it was an improvement over Bloodthirst.
Yeah,
Definitely memorable. And Pit of Zombies and Hatchet to the Head, some of the most brutal stuff. Overall, I definitely do like this one more.
Me too. The best one so far of Corpse Grinder era, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Hello. Yeah, it's my favorite for sure. Matt Divitt is seeing Obituary tomorrow night. I might actually see Cannibal Corpse next month.
Wow.
Cannibal Corpse, quite possibly. They're coming to my
band
area.
I've never seen yet. I gotta see.
Yeah,
them.
me neither. I really want to because they put on a hell of a show. When I watch their concert DVDs and live performances on YouTube and stuff.
But I believe the next one is the EP Worm Infested.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I actually
album cover.
That has the cover of No Remorse on it, which I really like. No Remorse.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Oh, really?
I haven't heard that one.
I guess they did a cover of The Exorcist by Possessed and as a bonus track on.
Yeah, they got like Demon's Night and Confessions and Worm Infested. Pretty cool EP, but
How cool they do Metallica cover.
It was brutal.
They did it way better than
that's
6
one of
Feet
my-
Under does their covers.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
That's one of my favorite songs from Kill 'Em All.
Me too. No remorse, no repent. We don't care what it meant.
I could see it now, like, how he would do the vocals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remorse, no repent.
You see, that song would work for death metal.
Yeah.
Chris Barnes and 6 Feet Under covering Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. That does not work. Those need a sense of melody and not just the Cookie Monster, the cringeworthy Cookie Monster vocals. It just sounds awful.
Sepultura and Crowbar. Nice.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. I'm not a big fan of current Sepultura, but I'm sure it'd still be a great show. I like the Max Cavalera Sepultura. I haven't listened to any of their like modern stuff. The last one I listened to was that Dante, whatever, 12 or whatever it is. So yeah, the next album is The Wretched Spawn. Very possibly my second favorite of the George Fisher Cannibal Corpse albums. So many great songs.
Solid.
Yeah, it's awesome. Some of my favorite tracks were solely written by Jack Owen, who I said is one of my favorite death metal guitarists ever. Right there with Chuck Schuldiner and Trey Adsigto and Eric Cutler and Danny Corrales from Autopsy. And yeah, it's just some of my favorite riffs. Yeah, all the songs where Owen wrote the music and the lyrics, I think, really shine. Such as Nothing Left to Mutilate and Festering the Crypt.
Frantic Disembowelment.
Yeah, Frantic Disembowelment.
I love that cover. That cover.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it looks like the zombies from the Butcher to Birth cover, and now they're like helping some demon. Like this woman's giving birth to his spawn, the wretched spawn. So
it's so gross.
Make for an interesting comic book or something. Yeah, it's very nasty, but and this guy, I think this is kind of their last really, really awesome, really elaborate album cover. I guess I should mention most of their album art was done by Vincent Locke. And he's a great artist. He did that that series, that comic book series. What was it, Deadland or something? They said he was a really creepy guy. They actually never met him in person. They just talked to him over the phone, and like he only comes out at night, and like very talented. But yeah, Severed Head Stoning, Psychotic Precision, Decency Defied. Yeah, Frantic Disembowelment is awesome. Cyanide Assassin. Festering in the Crypt is kind of a more slower paced Cannibal Corpse song. Really kind of doomy and like kind of has this heavy chugging riff, but like kind of slowed down. And I think that was one of the ones that was solely written by Jack Owen, who really shines in this album.
That's a good one.
This is Jack Owen's magnum opus. Yeah. Bodies rot forever. I love that riff. I learned to play that on guitar years ago. It's awesome. Just so freaking great. And then Nothing Left to Mutilate is another one of my favorite songs. Probably my favorite song on this album. Searching for the 121 she'll run. Yeah, it was really really sick lyrics and just really brutal and very catchy tune, for Cannibal Corpse. It's kind of funny to say that about a death metal song, but Blunt Force Castration, Rotted Body Landslide, Slain, Bent Backwards and Broken, They Deserve to Die. I guess this was the last album to feature Jack Owen, unfortunately, on guitar. It's really sad to see him go, because again, I think he really shines on this one. The ones that the songs that he wrote are among some of my favorites. But you can tell there's kind of a rift between him and the rest of the band. Like Decency Defied, he also wrote the lyrics and music for. So, and I don't know if that contributed to why he left. Like he was kind of on like a different page as the rest of them. They were kind of wanting to do something different. They were veering away.
Musical differences.
Yeah, but I don't see why, because they should just went with what he was doing, because what he was doing was awesome. But of course, later he played for Deicide. But I really wish he would return to Cannibal. When I heard that Pat O'Brien was gone, I was kind of hoping Jack Owen would come back. But it was great having both of them in the band. That was my favorite lineup, like I said. And this album's great. And I also got it on vinyl as well. Yeah, spinning this record on my player is quite an experience.
Nice. I think it's just another great Cannibal Corpse. They don't do anything too like out there to the point where it's like, it's a little too different. Or I think they always somehow manage to keep it fresh and still sound really brutal.
Kind of like Slayer, like they stayed consistent, but they still mixed up things just a little bit just to keep it interesting.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, the Wretched Spawn is phenomenal. I think my second favorite Fisher Corpse album next to Gore Obsessed.
Mhm.
It's pretty close on the two, actually.
They certainly never like let up on the brutality. You know?
You got that right.
I know the next one is one of my personal favorites with Kill.
Me too. Me too. This honestly, this is my favorite of
Good choice.
The Corpse Grinder era.
This is my least favorite artwork because it's just Kill in big letters, very boring and uninspired, just kind of dull. I think this should have been the artwork.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
Jagged jawbone knife, like that's really cool. The zombie holding it, that should have been the artwork.
Yeah, you got
there might be some kind of censorship issue or something.
Yeah, this one, it's like they put some money into it. Like the production is really like crisp and clear and loud, and
yeah, it's great. It's a great continuation of kind of the sound they started with Wretched Spawn. This one kind of takes it to another level in some ways, and this is probably my third favorite of the Fisher era. I really like them all quite a bit. This is the first one where Rob Barrett returned to the band. This time he replaced Jack Owen. So now we see Rob Barrett with Pat O'Brien. And it makes for a really cool twin guitar attack as well. Very, very awesome riffs, very solid solos. Very creative, very well structured, just very unique compositions with a really really heavy, energetic structure that only Cannibal Corpse can do.
And this is the first one produced by Eric Rutan.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
this album,
great job.
is really great. Some of my favorite songs are like "The Time to Kill Is Now," "Purification by Fire," "Five Nails Through the Neck."
Make them suffer.
Mother Worship is a great album.
Death Walking Terror used to be my ringtone on one of the first cell phones I've ever gotten. I remember that was played on the Music Choice metal channel back in the day when this first came out. Eric Rutan produced it. And I like I said, I like Pat O'Brien and Rob Barrett's guitar playing. I think the rhythm section with the great Alex Webster and Paul Mazurkiewicz is very, very on point as well. Yeah, it's the backbone for their songs. And then of course George Fisher's stellar vocals are at their very best once again. It's just very superb. Great album. I bought this one as a brand new
device.
Yeah. In 2006, I was in a death metal band called Graveyard Feast, and we took a lot of inspiration from Cannibal Corpse, and especially this album, which was brand new at the time I bought it. And then we really tried to sound a lot like them. Of course, not nearly as good. But it slays.
It kills.
yeah, there you go. All right, so next was Evisceration Plague. And so I kind of think of that album as Kill Part 2, only not quite as good.
It's
not bad. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of filler, and I don't know. It's not bad. It's just kind of forgettable and kind of underwhelming. There's definitely some decent tracks. There's some ones that really shine, like what is it, Beheading and Burning, and Cauldron of Hate, which I think is pretty cool.
I like the title track. Evisceration.
Yeah, the title track's pretty cool. Boring artwork. It's just like a few zombies like in the foreground and like some shadowy zombies in the back, and then like they're kind of bloody, but like Cannibal Corpse could do something much more shocking and extreme. Hell, my grandma probably could look at this artwork and not even be fazed by it. So but the musicianship is still pretty good, but I don't own that one either, so I haven't listened to it nearly as much as some of the others. I should probably get it.
The production wasn't as good as
Gallery.
A step down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely like a Cauldron of Hate and Shatter Their Bones and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Carnivorous Swarm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric Rutan's production and mixing, I think, was really, really good, and it's got some really decent solos and riffs. And again, Fisher's voice is great. But again, I haven't listened to it very much at all, and every time I do hear it, I'm just kind of like, Kill did it better, so I'll just listen to Kill instead.
Yeah, I will admit this is the point where I kind of had to start catching up on the albums again, because like I said, I knew about and I was like, hey, gotta go back to some more.
Yeah, I'm kind of behind when it comes to Cannibal from this point onward, except for their next album. Did you guys want to add anything else about Evisceration Plague before we go into Torture?
No, that's about it.
All right, so yeah, their next album is Torture. This is the last album. This is the most recent album that I own. It's part of my collection. And I think this is definitely the return of the really awesome, graphic, gory, grotesque artwork.
Yeah.
Like, wow, is that good? That's one of their very best. Yeah, Vincent
cool.
Locke is just very talented. That's just brutal. Yeah, the serial killer with the skull mask and then like the stitching and then the big jagged knife and then all the bodies hanging from the ceiling, like all gutted and vivisected. You know, they've just been disemboweled and just mangled up and mutilated beyond belief. And yeah, the lyrics reflect that. I think this is a huge step up from Evisceration Plague. And like out of their more modern era, I've listened to this one a lot more than the Evisceration Plague and the three that came after it. Demented Aggression, Sarcophagic Frenzy, Scourge of Iron, Encased in Concrete.
As deep as the knife will go.
Yes. Intestinal Crank. I thought it was a great album. Very brutal, very heavy. It seems like they kind of found their, like what many fans consider kind of their classic lineup, and that like they stuck with this lineup for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
The same one that was on Kill up until very recently, you know? They still had Pat O'Brien and Rob Barrett, and they're both phenomenal on this album. Their riffs and solos are unparalleled. And of course, Alex Barrett's bass playing, Paul Mazurka's drumming, and of course, Corpse Grinder's vocals were just top notch here. Rabid, that's another good song.
Yeah.
Follow Home and Killed. I thought that one was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think my favorite songs were the ones where the music was written by Pat O'Brien, like Demented Aggression and As Deep as the Knife Will Go.
He's a good writer.
Follow Home and Killed. Yeah, he's a great writer when it comes to riffs and solos. He never wrote the lyrics, but Alex and Paul had that covered, so and even Rob at this point, so just deliciously sick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Torture, in my opinion, was a huge step up, and the last Cannibal Corpse album that I own and am very, very familiar with. It kind of ends here. The next three I haven't listened to a lot. I've heard from songs here and there, but I don't do a proper review justice.
The next one was actually a first time listen to Skeletal Domain.
Skeletal Domain, yeah.
Like I liked Funeral, Cremation, Kill or Become, Ice Pick Lobotomy.
Yes.
Yeah. It was not bad, but still.
I don't know this one.
Oh yeah. I like the title track and Bloodstained Cement and what's the other one? Hollowed Bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, what little I've heard from it, and for how little I've listened to it, I like what I've heard. I probably should get the album or add it to my Spotify playlist or something. Because again, I like what I heard. It's just I haven't, I'm not as familiar with it.
Yeah, I gotta go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of slacking a bit on the more current, more modern Corpse albums. But again, what I heard, it's Cannibal Corpse, and it is good. Very, very good. Then the next one was Red Before Black, which I think I listened to this one a little bit more than Skeletal Domain. And what from a little I heard, I think that was a little better. Of course, it has Red Before Black, the title track, and Code of the Slashers, which I think is a great song. Probably my favorite song.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And the artwork's kind of boring. It's just somebody stabbing somebody to death, and they're just blood splattering everywhere.
I really like the opener. Only One Will Die.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's kick ass.
Yeah, I think one of the lyrics were just about two people getting in a fight, and then it gets pretty brutal. But then again, it's just people fighting. I think of course run out of ideas for really sick, really horrific, depraved tales of debauchery and macabre, over the top violence.
Well, you got heads shoveled off.
Yeah, sure. It's more morally corrupt and sinful, like the corpse that I'm used to.
I
Shedding
think two of
my skin.
that one and Code of the Slashers were my two that stood out the most for me. It's been head shoveled off too.
I didn't listen to this till today.
No, yeah. I just heard a few songs from it when it first came out.
I enjoy it. I like it.
Yeah. And of course, their latest album was Violence Unimagined, and I guess their first one with Eric Rutan after Pat O'Brien left. It really sucks that Pat O'Brien left, but I guess he had to get his health under control. But Eric Rutan's a great guitarist as well, like I said. And the cover art is a little better, still a bit of improvement. Just
it reminds me of Venom.
Yeah,
like
it kind of reminds me
of
right with the tongue
tongue
and the
thing.
teeth. Kind of reminds me of Melina from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But I haven't listened to this one much at all. I listened to a few songs. I haven't listened to enough. I did think that Condemnation, Contagion was good. Murderous Rampage stood out, and Over Torture. But again, I need to give it more of a listen to give it a proper rating and review, because as it stands right now, I'm just not familiar enough. But I like what I heard. It's Cannibal Corpse and it's consistent and it sounds great to my ears. But
Did you watch that video, Inhumane Harvest? That's
Oh yeah. I like that too. Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
This is perfect for Cannibal Corpse.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the corpse that we all know and love. And yeah, they are far more technical now than when they first started, but I still think they sound like themselves. They still sound consistent. They still give us exactly what we want. They just improve their craft a little bit.
I think that's why I like these last couple, because they are more technical, like you said.
Yeah, like you said, they don't have a terrible album. They don't even have a bad album. Again, I think that some are a little more forgettable and more underwhelming than others, but I wouldn't say they're bad.
And the production is better on these last couple of ones than they had been for a while. Production value wise, it's we're starting to put some money into it again.
I just think that because they have so many albums, if you kind of, like me, fell off a little bit there for a while and you had to go back and catch up, some of them kind of mix together and you kind of get a little confused on them. And
yeah.
True.
I feel the same way.
Maybe it is hard for them to come up with new ideas. Or
yeah. It would be hard
so
after
long.
so many years. Yeah, it's been 32 years just about. So, it'd be hard to stay consistent.
You've written about every disgusting,
Yeah.
vile thing there is to.
They should do something really shocking and like write about unicorns and rainbows and stuff like that, and just because that'd be really shocking.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Solo song? No.
Oh yeah, I think Corpse Grinder put out a solo album recently, just called Corpse Grinder.
Oh, that's cool.
Didn't he?
I like his stuff in Monstrosity, and I really like his stuff in Paths of Possession, which is kind of like a melodic death metal band, like that one song, "Bring Me the Head of Christ." It's just awesome.
I remember I first heard Monstrosity before he was in Cannibal, and I really liked him.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Phenomenal vocalist.
I was like, oh, that guy, that's a good choice.
Without a doubt, listen, if you haven't already, the Monstrosity's cover of Angel of Death. It is just fast and brutal and face melting.
I read that he was doing something with Jesse Leach or something, like Killswitch Engage.
Killswitch Engage? Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he going to do something with him? Maybe that's the solo then.
Yeah, it could be. I'm kind of behind when it comes to all that stuff, unfortunately.
I know he did a quick little song with Dee Snider when he did backing vocals for that.
Wow.
Man, that's got to be interesting.
What a weird combination.
Really?
Just a little bit. think my favorite all-time Cannibal Corpse song is the one that says, it's like, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. That's a pretty good tune.
That kicks ass.
Yeah, very disturbing. That's one of my favorite Pat O'Brien guitar solos.
Well, we got through it all. That was a lot.
Yeah. Definitely check out these DVDs. We have Live Cannibalism, which are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it has 2 different concerts footage. They put on a hell of a show. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead, Strip Rank with Strangled. I love the way Corpse Grinder sings Hammer Smash Face.
Yeah.
And he still does that scream at the beginning of Devoured by Vermin from Vile with so much efficiency. It just sounds awesome, just breathtaking. So yeah, it's a great live concert DVD that I highly recommend if you haven't seen it yet. And of course, the Centuries of Torment DVD, which is just, I couldn't ask,
really
as a Cannibal Corpse fan, I could not ask for more. It has the documentary. They talk about the history of the band, why Chris Barnes was left, why Bob Rousset left, why Jack Owen left. It talks about their early history. We see Alex Webster doing vocals for his previous band. We see Paul Mazurkiewicz singing like King Diamond. There's all kinds of awesome behind-the-scenes stories, and like just packed with so much awesome footage and like really interesting information that I would have never known about. It just
they even had
so
Chris
features.
Barnes in there with
out
with like
Ice-T
with the other guy. Cannibal.
Rob Barrett.
Rob Barrett.
Yeah, and then he's also hanging out with Ice-T, who's a huge metal fan. Of course, he was in Body Count. And then it's got some live concert footage. It's got some music videos. I mean, it talks about all their albums in order, the history of the band. Like, this is just jam-packed. If you're a Cannibal Corpse fan, this is hours of awesome
and some great live footage too.
Treasures. Yeah, for sure. Some great live songs from the concerts. It's 3 discs, and it's just friggin' awesome. It's got the performances, the history, and then jam-packed with all kinds of exclusive bonus content. Yeah, if you're a Cannibal Corpse fan, then Centuries of Torment DVD is an absolute must.
There's even some concert footage from the Eaten Back to Life era or whatever.
Yeah, really, it's really raw and really has very low quality. It's really cool to see where it all came from. You know, it kind of looks like it was recorded with a potato.
I know. Right?
It's pretty cool to compare, their evolution. Because it's just awesome.
Yeah, I highly recommend that one.
Oh yeah, love me some Cannibal, the band that got me into death metal, and I think still one of the best. George Fisher's my favorite death metal vocalist, and Alex Webster is by far my favorite death metal bassist.
One of the greats, no doubt about it.
All their members have been awesome. They have awesome songs, awesome albums, and hopefully I'll see them in concert next month. I'll keep everybody
Me
posted.
too. I gotta see them.
Yeah, I'll be seeing Judas Priest next month. I already got my tickets for that, and then also got my Iron Maiden tickets. I'm going to see them in October, which is, of course, much later this year.
Nice. I'd say out of all the bands I haven't seen, they're one of the on the top of my list.
Same here, for sure. I've been wanting to see them for years.
I haven't seen like any death metal. I did. I saw Morbid Angel. I take that back.
Yeah, I saw Behemoth and Vader, and I saw Obituary. I was in a band that I joined the band later, and that band actually opened for Obituary before I was in the band. And then when I joined the band, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope you guys get to do that again, or open from somebody like that, but it never happened. They opened for 6 Feet Under too at one point, but once I got in the band, they didn't do stuff like that anymore. So, which sucks. I wish I could have joined the band and actually like done that, because they even met they met John Tardy from Obituary. They met Chris Barnes from 6 Feet Under.
You could probably do the vocals. You seem like you could do them pretty well.
Thank you. Yeah, I was doing my band now, we just got a new bass player who's also the vocalist, and he does some cool death metal vocals, and there's a couple songs I write all the lyrics and I come with all the vocal melodies. So there's some that like I kind of have a certain vision in my head, so I've been doing some of the vocals on a couple tracks too. But he's a beast on vocals. He's a phenomenal bass player. he's been playing bass even longer than I've been playing guitar. So we really found an awesome lineup. I can't wait to upload some music videos on YouTube eventually and start playing shows again.
Yeah.
Too. He's right up there with Pete Sandoval and Gene Hoglan and Dave Lombardo. He's just, when it comes to those fast, furious beats.
Nice.
It's taken me a while to properly learn like a death metal growl. Like when I first tried to do it, it would scratch your throat. But over time, I'd be more like, get out more. But sometimes
I can only do it for like a minute and then I'm done.
George Fisher's perfected the art of like singing from his diaphragm and having good control over his voice to where it doesn't like destroy his throat like Chris Barnes did.
That's amazing. I don't know how they can do that. Like
yeah, it's amazing. It's
for an entire show, like an hour and a half.
Breathtaking, doing the windmill and like all that stuff. I'm surprised they're not just I mean, George Fisher gets those bad headaches, all the time. And he always has a raspy voice when he's doing interviews. He always sounds hoarse and tired. Matt Diven wants to know. Yeah, exactly. Any special guests planned for coming for the Morbid Hour? Like I said, I'd love to get Ken Sagos, who played Kincaid in Nightmare 3 and 4, or maybe even Mark Patton, who played Jesse in Nightmare 2.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask Linnea Quigley when I met her and hung out with her for an hour at that haunted house, but I don't know,
man.
I was just so caught up in the
moment.
On
that, man.
I know. I was just so in awe. Like I was just so caught up in the moment. I was just living for the moment. I was like, man, I kind of want to ask her, but like I don't want to distract from it. I don't want to say, like I want to just like, I didn't want to. She said she'd check out my channel, but like, I don't know if she probably didn't even remember what it was called, and I don't even know if she was really interested in something like that, but I wish I had now. I guess I was just a little.
I get
too,
that though. You like all starstruck and
Yeah. I played it cool too. I just talked to her. I was like, "Oh, hey, Linnea," and I named all the movies she was in. I remember more movies she was in than she did, and I remember more of her co-stars' names. And she was too afraid to go to the haunted house, which was funny. But I just didn't have the guts to ask her to appear on my show. If I saw her a second time, maybe. But she was really, really cool. Like that was just a huge moment for me.
Were you like, oh, I love you in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers,
sorority babes, and Spyball Bolorama, and Creepazoids, and Nightmare Sisters, Pumpkinhead 2, Jacko. Some guy walked by and he was like, "What movies were you in?" And she was like, well, Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Demons, and I was like, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Pumpkinhead 2, Jacko,
Yeah. I love her workout tape. I saw that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that.
Murder Weapon, that's another one she was in. Graduation Day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she was in Savage Street. Linda Blair's little sister.
Oh yeah.
And Tracy's,
obviously Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah. Me and her talked about that. She talked about a little bit how they did the antler impaling scene. I thought about like filming her, like introducing my channel, saying you were watching the horror and metal channel. I didn't want to talk too much about like my channel and stuff like that because I just wanted to talk about her. I didn't want to like self promote and.
It's hard. I get embarrassed. Like,
I get kind of shy, like when it comes to stuff like that. I don't want to annoy them, like I'm some crazy fan.
Like, get away from me, you creep.
Yeah, but it would be cool, like if we got some more special guests. If you guys have any ideas, anybody we could get would be awesome. Any horror alumni.
I have someone that I would love to interview, but it would never happen. My hero, Bruce the Man Campbell.
Oh man,
that
would be phenomenal. But yeah, like you said, that'd be
good luck with that.
Oh yeah, that'd be so awesome though.
Yeah, if that happened, I would just be like, "Hi, sir, how you doing?"
Yeah, I know. It'd be hard not to get starstruck because it's just like he's my hero, and I'm usually good at holding it together when it comes to that, but man, it'd be hard to contain myself with Campbell. Yeah. I loved you in Maniac Cop, and I loved you in Intruder.
Yep. The loved you in Crime Wave.
Yeah, Terminal Invasion. Were you ever in any other movies?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3.
Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh yeah.
I like that show actually.
I do too. You were great in Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the one? Remember Jack of All Trades?
Oh, yeah.
When he was like the
Man
Robin
with the
Hood
Screaming
type guy.
Brain. Man with the Screaming Brain, and My Name is Bruce.
Yeah, my name's Bruce. Yeah.
He was at the very end of Dark Man, briefly, no lines or anything.
Oh, he was in that show too. That pretty big show there with what was that? He was like the guy's. It was like a cop show, and he was like the guy's sidekick. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I knew what you're talking about.
A few years ago.
I can't think of the name of it. He was in an episode of Charmed. Also, he was a witch hunter.
Burn Notice.
Burn Notice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's a pretty big role for him.
I was thinking it was Burn something. I was like, all right, we got 3 viewers at the moment. Anybody have any ideas for we could discuss the next time? I think the next band we discuss should be not a death metal band. This is like I think our 4th time on the road doing that. This is we already did Death and Carcass and.
Oh.
I would love to do Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Black Sabbath. But what we could do is we could just like narrow it down. We could just do like Ozzy era Sabbath or Ozzy and Dio, or like with Iron Maiden, we could just say all their 80s albums, or with Judas Priest, we can do maybe all their 70s and 80s albums, just to so it doesn't go too long. And then, if some of the later albums are not familiar with, I'd also love to do Merciful Fate, who only have 7 studio albums, or King Diamond.
It's hard because there's a point with all those bands. There's a point where I stop listening.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I'm just saying that's what I mean. Like, just do like some of the first, like few, like a certain caveat, like a certain segment of their career.
Like even Maiden, like I stop at my last was Fear of the Dark. I don't go past that really.
Right. Well, in that case, we could just do their 80s albums, just everything from the self-titled all the way to...
Or maybe I could just be with you guys for part of it, and then you could finish it off.
Yeah.
And I'll just watch.
Because I'm not that familiar with like some of their like newer ones. Same with Judas Priest. I've listened to them, and I like what I've heard, but I couldn't give it like a proper rating and review. I'm just not knowledgeable enough.
What about you, horror fan 88? How far do you go with Maiden? Are you a fan right till now, or do you like stop at some point?
I think the last one I went up till Fear of the Dark, and then the most recent one I heard was the Book of Souls. But yeah, so from their debut album to Fear of the Dark, that's what I'm mostly familiar with.
Yeah, same here.
That's what I'm saying. We could just do that, or we could just do because that was Bruce Dickinson's last album for a while until he returned with Brave New World. So we could just do everything from the self-titled to the Fear of the Dark and just say Iron Maiden.
I listened to the Blaze Bailey ones once. So
yeah. I just think there are a few good songs on them, but the thing is, like, I think that I'm one of the many that say they would sound better with Bruce.
Yeah.
They're good songs. It's kind of sad that they don't do anymore, but it just sounds lesser to me.
Yeah. But then when he came back, I didn't care much for it. Like, I didn't like Brave New World, to be honest.
I definitely would not mind doing Iron Maiden.
Now you're talking about like freaking masterpieces. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. Go up.
That's what I was saying. Just do a segment. We just say, not all their albums, just like a part one, if you will. Just a certain segment from, just their 80s albums, and then, or just their first one. I don't even know what to call it. You can't call it Mark 1 because they had more lineup changes than that. Mark 1 through 4, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be fine. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. I'm always down to talk about some Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the most recent album I own of them is A Matter of Life and Death, so I don't have Final Frontier, Book of Souls, or
The Dance of Death.
Dance of Death. Yeah, I don't even have Brave New World or Dance of Death.
I bought this when it came out, the Book of Souls. I definitely need to listen to it again. I heard it once, so don't worry too much.
What about I heard the new one, Sinjitsu or something. What was it?
Oh yeah, Sinjitsu.
Something like that. It's a
Their
pretty
albums
cool
aren't
video.
as
Did you
creative
video the animated video?
Yeah, with the CGI Eddie or whatever.
Sinjitsu, something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, Maiden would be cool, and yeah, I'd love to have some more special guests featured on this show. So if anybody happens to talk to any celebrities,
Let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, I might think about messaging Ken Sagos, quite possibly. If I get the guts. I talked to him on there before. I liked one of his statuses, and he sent me some kind of was it like a petition or some kind of fundraiser or something, and and I shared it on my channel, and he said thank you very much. And so I thought about asking him that, but I thought he was too busy with this fundraiser, so I didn't want to impose. I didn't want to
I
say,
tried.
oh yeah, I'll share it on my channel in return for made on my
I tried with somebody, but they never got back to me. I was like, damn it, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Oh well. It's hard to get up the guts to ask, and then they don't get back to you. It's like disappointing.
You still talk to Judith Myers?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Be cool to have her on here, if possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way. But all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been the Morbid Hour here in the Horror and Metal channel. Looking forward to the next one. I'm a Hellhound.
Horror Fan 88.
Sean Patrick Erschen from the Horror Corner.
And anybody have any conclusions?
Great show.
Another great show, man. Great time. Thanks.
Most definitely. Thanks for joining me on the Morbid Hour. And, until next time.
Peace out, guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.
Take care.